Hello there, toy collectors. My name is Kevin, aka Toying Around, and I am very excited to bring you this special review.
If anything, the Kim family, they're archetypes.
Which is sad, but not always a bad thing.
I'm okay, I have one
Let's
Zusi on the name.
Let's try them. Let's still try. We want to...
Oh shoot, out of focus. Okay, we're good. Hello there, everyone. My name is Kevin, aka Toying Around. If you are watching this right now, is there a lag? Looks like a lag. If you're watching this right now, we're here to talk about Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So I will warn you now and throughout this stream, spoilers incoming. If you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want it spoiled, bookmark this, save this. Do people still bookmark things? But come back and watch it later. But if you don't mind spoilers, like some people out there, unlike me, then I would love to have you here and chat about the movie, what's going on, our thoughts, and some of the merchandise that comes along with this awesome movie. Because I think at the very core of this channel here, a lot of us are toy collectors and collectibles, things like that. So I would like to, it's good to see what kind of new stuff is out there, and I'll be chatting about it tonight with some familiar faces you've seen on the channel, and also some people might be dropping in, hopefully. But until then, if you're a toy collector, if you are into unboxings and just other stuff, reviews, feel free to subscribe to the channel here, or watch over on Twitch if you prefer Twitch. It's on twitch.tv/toyingaround. I'm on Instagram @toyingaround. You can get at me there. First, we'll bring on some of my friends who are going to be with me and talking about this movie. This autofocus is killing me. She streams on Twitch. She has seen the movie. She works in the toy industry with my friend Yoko.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting this hype train going in your Twitch that you're probably not paying attention to. Hi, everyone. Hi.
It says 100%. What does that mean?
You got to level 1 because you meant to thank me and Gary for resubscribing.
Yeah,
and then I dropped in 100 bits, so we've achieved level 1 hype train. We're now going for level 2. It's good time.
Let me see. Thank you to Panfred Nudo from the Nudo House for the resub. I see that. And also Live in La Vida Yoko. They're currently subscribed for 4 months. Currently on it. Am I just supposed to read that? And Gary, thank you so much. And I don't know how the rest of this works. Yoko is my moderator on Twitch. Thank you for handling that. Appreciate everyone watching over there. Also, we have my friend Troy from Troy Collects Toys on Instagram.
Hi, everyone.
Local friend and toy collector. And another friend of mine, Mr. Jason Lapidus.
Hey, how you doing?
Does the autofocus think this person is real and not me?
I think
Kevin, I think that person is real and not you.
All right, well, that's it for tonight. All right, you guys, Yoko, introduce yourself.
Yoko, I guess you're in charge.
Was that an off-screen command to introduce myself? Did he just introduce us?
I think, but hey, why not?
Should we just talk about What If for a second while Kev's not here?
No, What If will be Friday?
Oh, okay. Friday.
Why is there so much stuff dropping? All right, okay.
But I can't wait.
This is our special guest for tonight. No, so Jason, you just watched the movie today. Yesterday. Today? Yesterday. I don't know what the days are anymore. Oh, I should have had Simu sit in my chair when I went to fix the camera.
That'd be a good idea.
I said that.
Oh, I didn't hear any of that.
I know you were hollering at me off screen.
So this movie, it's been anticipated for a while. It was also delayed, but there's a lot of cool toys out there. So I think amongst the four of us, if there's a Venn diagram of what we collect, it would be for all four of us. It would be Marvel Legends, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's somewhere.
Yoko does some Lego. Jason does other stuff. Troy does some Legos there. And that was actually the perfect timing, because what better way to talk about that? This was not a planned transition, but one of our first guests for tonight, who is also, I'm assuming, a big fan of the movie based on what he's currently holding. He also works in the toy industry. He recently put out a video with a toy company talking about representation in movies and working on toy line like that. It's Mr. Ryan Ting from Hasbro Marvel team.
Hi.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hi, Ryan.
Ryan came prepared to fight.
I just carry this everywhere with me. I'm borrowing it from my son. He's asleep, so I'll be cool with it. Yeah.
Did you have to move his arm like when he was sleeping and pull it out of his bed?
Sneak it out.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm trying to bring the energy. It's 9 o'clock. It's like late. I was like dozing off downstairs, but
That's why I have this coffee. Well, you like to brandish weapons. A member of your group, Dwight, also liked to brandish the hook swords on a Hasbro live stream. That was awesome. This is all the way at the top, Yoko.
Hi,
Ryan.
nice to
Hi,
meet
Yoko.
you.
Nice to meet you too. I was catching up on some of your Star Wars unboxing. We know I'm a big trading card
Oh my
trading
god.
card guy, so that was fun to see.
Yeah, that chrome set is beautiful.
And you both do marketing things with toys, so that's awesome.
Crazy.
And we like to buy these things. Ryan, I mentioned this video that Hasbro Pulse put out yesterday. Was that yesterday?
That was so
I emailed
nice.
you.
That was such
The
a nice
days-
video. Yeah.
The days are blurring together.
Yeah.
With yourself, Dan, other Hasbro employee. Was it 2 employees from they work on the kids line?
Yep. So we're all actually on the Marvel development team at Hasbro. That video we actually made a while ago, and it was actually spearheaded by Dan Yoon. So I give him all the credit. It was his kind of vision to just do something, and we kind of got together and thought, what we could do about it. And Tragnark, he's a designer. He actually designed this bow staff. So shout out to Tragnark and the rest of the team for that kid line. And Kat Lau, she's our project manager on Marvel Legends. So we work with Kat every single day, and she keeps us on track and on schedule for all the figures that come out, and all the many waves and items throughout the year. So that video was released yesterday. We had it in the can for a while, but we're waiting for the film to come out. And then it was Labor Day weekend, so they wanted to do it on a Tuesday instead of the Monday. But yeah, it's been a good response. So thankful for everyone who watched it and said some kind words. It was important to us all, especially Dan, but to all of us. And it was just it was a good time.
Did the video have a different meaning to you after seeing the movie? Because obviously you filmed it a while back.
Yeah. I think I probably would have been even more psyched to do it if we had filmed it, after the movie came out, because I think we had just seen some trailers and we knew based on our product line, like, what was going to be in the film a little bit. But yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it and be interested to hear what everyone else thought about it too, and how it kind of resonated with you all. But it was great for me personally, and we went to see it with my wife and my son. We actually went to a drive-in theater. They still exist. There's one in Rhode Island, and we went to see that on Saturday or Sunday, like last Sunday. Sunday we went.
That's so cool.
That's cool.
I don't remember ever going to a drive-through. No, that's for food. Drive-in theater. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Did your son make it through? Like, how did it feel? Like, what was his reaction? I don't know what reaction is from a child yet.
Yeah, he did. So it started at 8 o'clock because it needs to be dark for the projector to work. But he made it all the way through. I think I was more tired by the end than he was. But then immediately we pulled out of the lot to go home, and I think within 30 seconds he was just like snoring like in his seat there. But yeah, he was a trooper. He made it through. It was his first movie. We actually had never taken him to a theater, like to sit down in, right? Because he wasn't really old enough for a while, and then it's been kind of crazy for a year and a half, so we haven't really been in a theater. He's just watched movies at home, so it was kind of his first movie going experience was sitting in his car, which was crazy.
Wow,
that's cool.
That's cool.
Really cool. Yeah.
And in that video you mentioned, your son can see somebody on screen. speaking Chinese. Do you speak Mandarin or Cantonese at home, or something else?
I don't. My parents do, but we never spoke growing up, so I'm kind of one of those delinquent kids who don't. But my wife and her family still do. So yeah, my son is learning Chinese. His grandma gives him little lessons. They have these workbooks, and so he's already far surpassed my skills, and he loves to remind me of that at every opportunity. But that's fair. So
Joy of having children, right?
yeah, you guys know.
That kind of ties into, I mean, right off the bat with this movie, the voiceover is in Mandarin. And that I think that was really cool because watching Mulan, it kind of disconnected for me with Mulan when the whole movie was in English. But like it was set in China and they were all like Chinese characters. But I mean, for them to do that, I thought that was a nice change. And just kind of set the tone for the movie going forward. And they transitioned in between English and Mandarin very well. It would be like Tony Leung saying, "Hey, have you been practicing your English, little Simu?" And he's like, "Yes." And then they'll start speaking English. What, like, when your son saw that, them speaking on the screen, did that have an impact on him, or was he just like, "Hey, that's cool, I haven't seen that"?
So one of our deals with him is he'll get to watch like cartoons on Netflix and whatnot more often if he watches them in Chinese. So I don't think that was that wasn't new to him because he watches a lot of stuff in Chinese. That's our way. That's kind of our bargain with him. But I think it was cool. It was cool for me definitely, and just understanding the context of it. This is like a huge Marvel movie meant for the masses, right? And the whole, however, the first act or whatever was all in Chinese, the voiceover, and I knew that going in because some folks we knew at Marvel who had seen an advanced like screening of it kind of told us, yeah, there's a lot of Chinese right off the bat, so I kind of knew that was coming. But yeah, I think it was cool to see, and definitely different for a mainstream Marvel movie. Do you speak Cantonese or Mandarin? Do you understand that?
I speak Cantonese and very poor Mandarin.
Okay.
And so if I wanted to watch cartoons with my kids in Chinese, it's mostly Mandarin. So Peppa Pig doesn't really make sense to me at all. It's very strange. Real quick, I have another friend here who I wanted to bring on real quick. I coach basketball with the Canadian Chinese Youth Athletic Association. And my friend here, Clem, he works with them, and he was kind of involved with Simu's Toronto premiere for the movie. So they organized a screening, the premiere that was in Toronto, and there was another viewing that I got to go to, which was awesome. And I just wanted to bring Clem on real quick, kind of just give his thoughts about the movie and kind of, I mean, I could just do it while Clem's here. What's up, Clem?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
This is Ryan. He makes awesome toys. Well, yeah, he works for Hasbro, and they make awesome Shang Chi toys. Yoko also works and sells toys, and the three of us buy stuff. Three of us buy a lot of stuff.
I see where this relationship is going.
And my special guest over here behind me. Yeah, so through working with you in the CCYA, like, how did Simu get involved, and how did, like, watching him kind of propel into this movie stardom, and working through the premiere? Can you give us a little bit of what's going on and how this movie might have affected everyone in the community that you kind of work with? Ooh.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting ride. So I met Simu quite a few years ago, maybe about 7 years ago, just when he was just starting out with Kim's Convenience. And basically, I was looking for an Asian Canadian actor to talk to the youths in our community about non-traditional careers for Asians. So I was not looking for an
not
engineer,
a doctor,
lawyer, yeah, like something like that. And I said, I want an actor. And someone referred me to say, hey, I know this young guy that just got a role on a show called Kim's Convenience. Would you like him to come and speak to the youth? And I said, yeah, that'd be great. And so we met each other in the green room. And at that point, he's like, I like sports. Do you like sports? I go, I like sports. He goes, you like stuff? I like stuff. And eventually we both had an equal passion for representation for him, he was really trying to make inroads for um, representation in acting, in media and things like that. And my passion was mainly centered around sports. As you've seen, Kevin, obviously, we work closely together in my nonprofit, teaching young people to get physically active. And I think that from that point onwards, we forged a friendship because the two of us sort of had a vision of what we wanted, for our respective communities and in our respective crafts. And I think where it really came to sort of an inflection point was that uh, Jeremy Lin, the basketball player, was playing for the Atlanta Hawks at the time, and I'd done some work with him in the community, and he was going to be in town in Toronto, and I said, "Hey, Simu, you a fan of Jeremy Lin?" He goes, "Yeah, I worship the guy." And what happened was I got Simu to interview Jeremy on our behalf, for sort of a YouTube video about representation. And so the two of them, met each other, and then ironically, he got traded to Toronto literally weeks after that, and him and Simu became good friends. And really strangely, Jeremy kind of giving him a bit of a roadmap in terms of what he could do, to kind of prepare himself for, his career coming down the road. And that was around the same spring and summer that not only the Raptors won the championship, but that was when Simu was finishing his auditions with um, Marvel Studios, got the role, and sort of the rest is history. And I think that it was just an interesting time where I had a friend that was very passionate about something and happened to have this opportunity to do very well in the auditions. And I guess that's where that's kind of what happened. And I guess he very much valued, I guess, a lot of the people in the community who were with him from the start. And so there's a number of us that worked with him before then, and he's kind of taken us along the ride with him.
That's awesome, man. Wasn't SDCC the same weekend as the celebrity game that you had? I think it was the
Yeah.
same. It was the same weekend.
Well, what had happened was it was one weekend after, but we were hosting, and you were involved in this, Kevin. We were hosting our celebrity classic. So Simu had met a bunch of actors and YouTubers from California and offered to work with CCY to run a celebrity basketball game. So we were running it in Toronto, and he's like, a few days before, he's like, Clem, I don't know if I can come. I go, what do you mean? You're like the headliner. And he's like, kind of have this audition I have to do in New York. And I was like, okay, like he didn't have to tell me what it was. I knew what it was. And I said, if you got to go, you got to go. Like, this is the most important thing in your career. But being the ballsy guy that he is, he actually pushed off his audition, to the Sunday. It was supposed to be the Friday or Saturday, but he managed to figure out a way to get pushed out to Sunday. So he played in the celebrity game, flew out Sunday, did the audition, didn't hear from him for a few days, and then he gave us the call a few days later, and then it was Comic-Con the very next weekend, and just his life just completely flipped upside down from that point onwards.
Sweet. How many times did you watch the movie this last weekend?
I can't count. I know that definitely not as many times as he has, but we had an opportunity to watch it pretty early on. I think we were probably one of the first people in the world to watch it when he tried to surprise me by saying, "Hey Clem, I got a private theater to watch a sneak preview of Black Widow. You want to come out?" And Kev, I have kids, and I told him, I go, "Nah, I can't come out on a weekday to go watch Black Widow." And he's like, "Well, there's like a secret trailer for Shang Chi. Like, you might want to come check it out." And I was like, "I don't know if I could come out for a trailer." He's like, "Damn it!"
For a trailer,
okay,
you got to
fine,
give me
fine.
more.
Like,
You got to give me a little bit more,
yeah,
right?
he goes, "We're watching the movie. We're watching. Can you come out?" And then we're like, "All right, we'll get the babysitters. We'll figure it out." So we did have that unique opportunity, and I'll tell you one thing that was pretty cool was that there was only 10 of us. It was him and his closest friends and his parents. I had an opportunity to sit in the back of this tiny private theater in downtown Toronto, and I got to see the look on his dad's face, to see his son on the screen, and I'm not joking. It was dark, and all I could see was a row of white teeth in the theater the whole time, and just to see the pride on his dad's face, smiling ear to ear for the full 2 hours and 12 minutes was truly something to kind of marvel at, and it was a really unique opportunity, and all of us were pretty much speechless, after we watched the movie, because it's so weird to go from this guy that we hang out with. So first of all, you're trying to process. You go, wait a minute, that's Simu flying around up there, and no spoilers, but like on a dragon.
Oh no, you're spoiler full zone here. Go nuts.
Yeah, and then the next thing you're like, wait a minute, that's Jung from Kim's Convenience flying around on a dragon, and then you're like, oh, and then it's processing. This is actually Shang Chi flying around on a dragon. So I thought that was a pretty unique opportunity. And then I had an opportunity to go out to LA with him to watch the premiere out down there, and he brought 10 of his friends from high school from Toronto down there to enjoy that experience, and also a bunch of his friends from LA, and then came back again to Toronto. And we just finished running the screenings here in Toronto. We bought out 10 theaters. So basically, especially in Toronto with all the social distancing protocols, almost 1,000 people, across staggered screenings every 20 minutes in downtown Toronto,
Right.
to kind of celebrate the launch of the movie. So yeah, I've seen it quite a number of times, and it's just cool. Like, it's just such a unique opportunity and such a unique situation that I think anybody who's kind of been in the community and seen Simu out and about, you can't help but root for the guy, because he's definitely trying to represent for all of us.
Yeah, I think he's in a position where he's it's like a role model on so many different levels, just being like this huge blockbuster movie. I think it's pretty awesome. Okay, round table real quick, because I know some of you are very gracious to join here with your time. You're not going to stay the whole time. You're welcome to, but I know you have busy toy things to do and family stuff to do. Whenever you need to go, just give me this, and then I'll say bye, and you can leave. It's cool. But real quick, Ryan and Clem, or Ryan, if you want to go first, thoughts on the movie overall.
Well, yeah, just to take it back one step before then. So, I was working at Comic-Con 2019, as we do, and I was lucky enough to get a ticket to Hall H. So Dwight and I, through Hasbro and Marvel, got 2 tickets, so we got to go see. And I think I've told this story on Instagram, but like, I turned to him right before it started, and I was like, I bet they won't really show us anything. And then from then on, it was just a flood of, they brought out everyone. They brought out, Shang Chi. They brought out Black Widow. They ended with Eternals. It was crazy. But the funny story about that is, like, my wife and our son, who were there with me, they came out that year, were also in Hall H, because they had some friends who camped out for tickets, like with a big group of people, and had an extra one. And my son was small enough, so he didn't need his own thing. So actually, they were there too. So we were all experiencing this. And then when Kevin Feige and Destin introduced Simu, and he came out, and he was just like, I didn't know him I didn't watch Kim's Convenience prior to that. I checked it out, after he was cast and everything, but so I didn't really know him. He comes out, and he's just so charming, and the first thing he did, right, was started speaking in Chinese, and I think it kind of threw people in the audience. And then he, made some really funny jokes, and was, talking about his parents and stuff. And so right away, I kind of just liked the guy, and was obviously rooting for him even more, just based on seeing him for 5 minutes in Hall H. And then you flash forward to, all the promotion and the excitement leading up to the movie, which got, pushed back a little bit this year. But it finally came out, and it was just awesome. And I'm so happy just for everyone to see it, and for him. And I think he's destined for big things, and hopefully we see more of him in the MCU. I think my one takeaway, if I were to describe it, was just seeing it on the screen. I kind of understood better for some people who Black Panther, this was, Black Panther, right, in 2018 was a very important film as well, and just reading a lot of the coverage and talking to people on how, renting out theaters and all these kids could go see it, and these kids are really embracing seeing these heroes like who are more like them being represented on screen. And like, yeah, you understand it in concept, but it's a little different when it directly more applies to you and like kind of your family and your upbringing. So yeah, that's just what I'll say. The action was cool, great performances all around. It was funny, it was heartfelt. Great villain. I think that's been a lot of discussions too with the critical reception and on not only Tony's portrayal of it, but just kind of the writing of it. Cool weapons, cool monsters. Yeah, can't wait to watch it when it's on Disney Plus and we can watch it at home again. That's my take on it.
Yeah, man, same here. And I want to watch it on Disney. It's been 7 days, and every day I've been thinking about this movie. Just like, I don't know, things that I wanted, things that were amazing. Did anyone else like almost cry, like brought to tears? Like Tony Leung is insane. Like he was so good, and his character he killed it. I've heard a lot of comments like probably one of the top, not just the top villain, but like one of the top MCU characters. Yoko,
Yes.
were you a Tony Leung fan before this? Were you cognizant of his work?
I knew who he was because I did live in Hong Kong for a while. So, just like as I don't think I really watched any of his films, but I knew who he was because he's like this larger than life like presence in Hong Kong, right? So it was really cool that he finally got into Hollywood. Like this is the moment he picked. It sounds like he was like really careful about finding the right opportunity, right, to break into Hollywood, and this is what he picked. And I think he was amazing, and I think hopefully people learn more about him and his career.
For sure. So Ryan works. So Clem, I'm not sure if I said it earlier, but Ryan works at Hasbro. Did you get some of the Hasbro merch already? Like, did you buy some of the Marvel Legends? This. I always send you links. I'm like, look, these are available. Go get it now.
Yeah, so Ryan, Kev was awesome because he he was telling me stuff before Simu was in terms of availability of toys and stuff like that. So it was really cool, I think, for Simu to be able to see himself in toy form. Like the way he explained it to me was early on in the process, they had done a 3D scan of himself, and so he wouldn't have to, kind of be in some sort of a lab or studio or something like that over and over when they're creating these types of figures, because obviously there's a CAD file of him stored away somewhere. But it's just really cool to be able to see himself in that form. And I will say that we were all commenting that I think when we grew up, action figures, like the articulation and the detailing just wasn't there. But we were pretty impressed at how accurate, I guess, the toys were in terms of a portrayal of what he looked like. And yeah, he bought some for himself. His friends all bought them, which it was weird because I think obviously, being someone who works for Hasbro, the launch of the toys was odd because the movie was pushed out and delayed, but the toys were already in the store. So I had some friends that were giving me a hard time, say, hey, look, some of the stuff's already on sale at Costco already. I'm like, just give it a second. The movie's not even out yet. I understand the supply chain where you produce the toys.
Yeah.
The timing was off from the launch of the movie. But I mean, like, there were some people who were on it early on, especially in the Asian community, that were just all over the opportunity to get the toys now. And I'm pretty happy that I have the full collection. When he came over to my house, I made sure he signed a bunch of the stuff, not for myself, but one of the things that Simu is very passionate about is charity work, and understanding that he's not really in Toronto as much as he'd like to be, that with a lot of requests that we came through, I said, listen, like I've done a lot of work with basketball players, and normally what happens is that if you're not able to make an appearance, a nice sort of consolation prize is if you can donate, a toy, a signed toy or something like that to a kid. So he's like, fine. So I just made him sit there for like an hour and just sign every piece of like merch or like toy he possibly could. So I think that he understands what that means to a kid. So that's something that we had an opportunity to do that, and also just having a chance to kind of scour and look through all the different variants of what has come out. has been a lot of fun for him. But the crazy thing is that it's not even finished. Like there's so many other things that are still coming out that we haven't even seen either. Like one of the crazy things I know he's going to be looking at is the 1/6 scale character of himself from Hot Toys. He actually gets to look at that before everybody else does for approval. Yeah, there's the picture, but how cool
Wow,
is that?
Kev, you're on it. Good job. Good job.
Yeah, how cool is that you actually get to see a toy like that made of yourself? And I gotta brag a little bit, Kev. I have one piece of memorabilia that I don't think anybody else has. So Simu in the movie was wearing a pair of Air Jordan Access, and I'm a very big sneakerhead, and I noticed right away that he was wearing Jordans, and I said, "Hey, man, you need to get those for me." And so he managed to sneak a pair from the set for me. So I have the Air Shang Chi's, as I'd like to call them, sitting in my basement.
Nice. Is it
Sort
the
of
final? I muted myself, but I was saying, was it the final scene when he goes in the circle?
Do you know what? Like, to be honest with you, what they did was they bought. It's a weird sneaker. It's not like something as popular as say an Air Jordan 1 or something like that. But what they did was they bought a bunch of them because they wanted to make sure they had enough backups, during the filming and whatnot. So it's one of the ones that he wore during the scene, but it stayed pretty consistent. If you watch the movie, he's wearing pretty much the same pair of sneakers throughout. So yeah, I have a pretty cool keepsake from the movie. I'm pretty excited that he let me hang on to them.
That's okay.
That's really
you
cool.
win. That's a nice flex. Ryan, I don't know if you're allowed to say, are you going to buy these Hot Toys?
I think I might have to. Yeah, I mean, they look incredible. What Clem was saying in terms of like, yeah, it was an odd toy launch, right? We actually, explored what a fall toy launch would look like, but at that point, stuff was already, in warehouses, and stuff like that, and the space at retail had kind of already been allocated for fall due to other things, so there wasn't a place for fall. So it was either like spring now is your only shot. So yeah, that wasn't the best way to launch kind of a new character, but the Legends wave had some good response because we knew the collectors were kind of following the marketing of the film and already hyped for it, and there were some comic characters in the wave as well. There was a comic Build-A-Figure, so that might have helped a little bit. So yeah, so just if any fans are wondering, like that is not how we would have liked to do it, but sometimes there's circumstances beyond our control. So we made the best of it, and hopefully there's still some figures out there for anyone who's seen the movie and now wants to go pick them up again. But yeah, I think I only have like one or two random other Hot Toys over the years, but we'll probably have to go out and get Wenwu and Shang Chi here at some point.
Do you open your Hot Toys though?
Of course not. they are in their preserved
shipper box, the brown shipper.
No, they're in the box with the plastic like wrap, still sealed on it.
You had that answer so fast, like immediately. Of course not.
Well, like Steve Evans, who works on design for Marvel, like he hits me up for some samples for things, and then he like immediately posts videos on Instagram of him ripping it open, like, and it almost like trigger. It's like to trigger me, but that's his thing too. Like his brand is like let him breathe, and so I'm kind of the opposite.
Yeah, he does a 3-panel spread and with big bold letters, "Let him breathe," almost as if to mock you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yoko? Troy, I know you don't really do Hot Toys, but Jason, I don't think you do either. Anyone else getting these?
Man.
I think they're beautiful, but they're not for me.
Yeah, same. Honestly, like they're such beautiful figures, but I'm already getting a Sentinel. I have nowhere to put that thing, so I don't know where to put these things. So, I mean, they're beautiful figures.
Yeah,
that
same.
reminds me.
They're totally beautiful, but truthfully, the way that the Marvel Legends look these days, I'm getting my realistic fix enough from Marvel Legends. I don't need to have a perfect replica of the human being in my space.
I didn't even get the Bucky one, so that should tell you something.
Stop trying to bring up Bucky. This is not the stream for Bucky. This is
it's relevant to this conversation.
No, I think I think the Marvel Legends at that price point, the likeness is very good. Like from that price point going all the way to Hot Toys. I mean, obviously there's a difference there, but I think at the Legends one, they're like the recent face technology for those ones I
Incredible.
think are really good. This Hot Toys Wenwu I thought was only okay, but after the movie, I was like, I need this for sure because he's got the effects. He almost made me cry in the movie. Wait, should we talk about the movie? I don't know. There's no format here. Who cares? It was just okay. Did anyone else out of anyone watching right now and the 5 other people here, did anyone notice the license plate or the marking on Wenwu's helicopter?
No. Was it about a My Little Pony?
His helicopter, whatever, it's not the model, I think it's the name. It's WW888. Is there anything more Asian than that license plate for a helicopter? Wenwu 888. That's the first. Like a lot of people didn't notice it. I think the ones I spoke to who didn't notice it were mostly not Asian, but that was the first thing that I saw. I'm like, that would be something my dad would drive around in, that helicopter. Was there a lot of but apart from that, that was my transition into the contents of the movie. Was there something that stood out that was very authentic to you in terms of representing Asian culture? Jason, I'm gonna ask you first. Sorry, I'm just gonna pick on you.
Something in the movie that was authentic to Asian culture for me. I love you, Kevin. That's really kind. You're joking, so feel free to. I mean, is there
something that you enjoyed? I'm sure you're very observant.
Are you asking if something was authentically Asian to me?
Your answer was the people looked very Asian.
Oh, come on. Don't set me up for anything.
Troy, how about you?
I gotta say, like, Toy Rensu said it perfectly. Just how when he walked into Katie's house, he took off his shoes. Like that's a very, very big thing that I do in this household.
No outdoor shoes inside. That's ridiculous.
Never.
Very
so
dirty.
His shoes off. But honestly, I have to say, like, this movie really reminded me of like when I used to watch Jackie Chan movies with my dad when I was little, and it just really brought me back to like a really amazing place in my life, and I just really appreciated everything they did. And I think we talked about this on Friday, but the opening scene with Wenwu and his wife was just brilliant, and I loved the whole choreography of the fight. It was just stunning, and I think that's where I was in tears in the movie. So I was getting a little misty-eyed there, but honestly, like, it was just, for me, it was just a lot of nostalgia and just representation, because like I'm half Asian myself, and I've never had a role model like this on screen. So for me to see someone, I could be like, oh my god, this could be me. This is me. Just meant a lot, and it just felt good. It just felt really good.
That fight scene, it was more of like a
wasn't
dance.
A fight. It was a courtship.
It wasn't a fight. It was a dance.
Yeah.
It was a seduction. I don't know what accent that was.
It was your seduction accent.
That is. Look where it got me. But yeah, the choreography stuff, Jackie Chan, I will touch on that in a little bit. The fight scenes. Yoko, how about yourself?
What?
What?
I'm sorry, I'm still laughing at your seduction accent.
My seduction accent is me saying the dance. It is seduction. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now.
And we're still talking about the Asian experience. I mean, we talked about. I was not expecting the film to open in Mandarin, and for a good 20 minutes maybe, and I loved that. Like, it didn't even hit me as like weird at first, right? Like, it was like a few minutes into it, I was like, wait, this movie's been in Mandarin this whole time so far. That's really cool. And so I loved that. The whole scene in Katie's apartment was was great. This conversation between the generations, right? Like, I thought in the that family dynamic was great. And then of course the karaoke, that's the way karaoke should be done, like with your besties in a private room.
Mhm.
You know,
Singing
I mean,
Hotel California, baby.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Yep.
Jason
So
hates
great.
the Eagles, by the way. It's
Yeah, that
Right.
hurt. That hurt when they were. I had a good laugh at that.
okay, Jason. You
The
seem like
articulation.
a music guy. Do the
Sure.
Eagles ever like let people cover their song or use it for movies?
They're not usually in movies, but the Eagles are all about making money. So why would you not let Marvel get the license to your song to make some more money? The Eagles are a money making band. They're not a band of guys that got together in someone's garage. They were all pro musicians who had an opportunity to have a record contract already if they just said that they were a band. So they said, "Yeah, we're a band," and then it just happened. They were
I
already
sense,
all established musicians.
I sense a little bit of hostility in your tone.
I like my arts coming from
Art,
a place of passion, not coming and like finding your balance with commerce,
fair
not
enough.
not starting with commerce and faking that you're artistic and creative, which is what they do. And they make an amazing commercial sound. It's a commercial product.
They're a boy band.
I wouldn't go that far because
Oh, I
each
was
of their
trying to help
names.
you.
Okay, well, a boy band is a commercial thing too, but a boy band is like about each guy is this individual that fake contribute to this musical sound. These guys, like, they're all amazing musicians,
I
but
think this
they're
would be perfect for the boy band talk on Nerdy Curious.
versus like, let's say the Beatles, for instance, who start as a bunch of guys playing in someone's house when they're 14 and 15. It's a very different thing, and they play for passion, and maybe they can get some gigs. So no, I don't. I know the Eagles well, like their catalog well. I have no patience for it anymore.
I guess the inauthentic
But
part,
anyway,
I guess, for Jason.
sure.
Eagles choice.
Yeah. But from the if we're gonna just throw me under the bus for the Asian thing too,
That's why I invited you.
I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed seeing like some of the nods to other Asian movies that I've seen, and like the posters on Shang-Chi's wall. I saw like Kung Fu Hustle was there.
Also, yeah.
So and I caught some nods to some modern films and like and textures and things and musical cues. Like, just it felt like the things I had seen before. Whether that's like authentically Asian or not, I have no idea. But it definitely got this non-Asian person in the mindset of what I should kind of be expecting. And I mean, obviously, I can't speak on behalf of all the non-Asians out there. The inclusion of Mandarin in it just added depth to the characters and to the lives that the people lead. It was not at all a hindrance for me in any way. Just like hearing the characters in Wakanda, speaking a combination of languages from sub-Saharan Africa didn't throw me. I always like hearing a little bit of flavor in people's dialogue. So it didn't irk me or set me off at all. I don't know. I can't imagine for younger readers, or younger viewers, I can imagine it being a bit of a hindrance. If the movie,
Right.
if an 8-year-old goes and they can't read at that pace.
Oh, true.
But if you can't keep up and you're an adult, maybe it's you. Maybe it's you.
Who are you taking shots at?
Whoever can't keep up, man,
Yeah.
it's fine. Like, read
Go read
subtitles.
some books. Yeah.
You got to learn to read. It's kind of like an important part. Welcome to the club. Join in. It's all good.
That's awesome. Clem, what was something in the movie that seemed like super authentic to you?
Yeah, so there's two things kind of segueing from the Eagles, because I remember having this conversation with his groomer that's been traveling with him, Mira, who is a woman of Asian descent. She actually used to work with the Eagles on tour, and it was really cool to see Simu's entire ecosystem was people who were Asian, like his publicist, who's one of the top publicists in Hollywood, Charlene. She is Asian. His stylist, Jean Yang, who is Ben Baller's sister, she is Asian. So she's the one that picked up all his outfits for the press tour and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see the representation, not just on the screen in the movie, but also the entire infrastructure behind everything that's going on with the movie, they went out and found as much representation as they could, um, for that element of what they were doing. So that was pretty cool. And the other thing that really stuck out to me for like hardcore people was the presence of 88 Rising, which many of you might know is probably the preeminent Asian American music label that exists in the U.S. And having a guy like Rich Bryant with DJ Snake and Rick Ross singing the main song for the movie Run It. And
Mhm.
here's where it elevates an artist like Rich Bryant. The song is not just used in Shang-Chi, but it's now the official song of NCAA football in
Whoa.
the 2021-2022 season. Like, when would you have ever gotten an Asian rapper that would be featured in the NCAA season for football, which is like religion in the US, right? And so to see the music getting a nod in that regard, and seeing so many Asian artists, on the soundtrack, from Jae Neko to also Anderson
Sure.
Paak, it just goes on and on. That soundtrack, to have that representation across the board, I think that spoke to a lot of people from our specific community as well, and I think that was a very exciting point for the movie.
That's cool. Yeah, I've been listening to that soundtrack the last few days. Uh, Ryan, I haven't forgotten about you, my friend. What was authentic about you there? Sorry, real quick, because Simu says like, sorry, Clem says the infrastructure, everyone behind is Asian. It kind of all adds to the authenticity and some of the details you see in the movie. So I think that's a really good thing to point out. But what was it to you? Anything that stood out that seems super authentic?
I was gonna say the taking the shoes off bit for me too, because that's something always you have to like remind people when they come over, and then you feel weird asking them to do it, right? Like, but
Or you go to other people's houses, like, do I, is this a shoes on or shoes off house? Because you're trained that you always, but then if you go to
yeah,
somebody's house who's like not Asian, it's like, what do I do? And then you see them, they're wearing shoes indoors, and you're just, what's happening?
or it's like you as a kid you would go to like your friend's house and they're shoes all the time, and then so you keep your shoes on as well because that's what they do, but it just feel like you just feel weird the whole time doing it, right? Like very uncomfortable. But no, like I don't know what else was there. I think the action. I mean, I'm not a student necessarily of Hong Kong cinema or this style, but I've certainly seen my fair share of American versions and a couple of like Chinese films. So I think the choreography was amazing. I just really appreciated from a Marvel standpoint, like the I mean, this is not answering your question, Kevin, but it's a separate point. Like I appreciated how they adapted the rings and what the rings did versus the comic origins, and then how they
Right.
in that very first scene, which is the flashback when he's like defeating a whole army by himself, and you get to see what the rings can really do. I think that was just a really cool choice by the filmmakers, because it wasn't just your typical here's the guy who's super strong or can shoot lasers from his eyes, like things we've seen so many times. This was something that was like pretty much completely new, like it can
Mhm.
do all these other sorts of things. And then you try to reflect that in the toys, like we saw with the hot toys. They did a great job with that. We didn't really do it in Legends because we couldn't, like, I guess I don't think we actually knew what it would look like on screen. We saw little animatics of the types of things it could do. But yeah, that was just something I thought was really cool. In addition to the traditional, like one-on-one, hand-to-hand kind of fighting style, just some of those special effects was cool for a Marvel movie and stuff we had never seen before.
the 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 fighting, the close quarters fighting was crazy, almost like Winter Soldier reminiscent. Uh, Google Meet classroom. The student has his hand up. Jason, yes.
Just to expand on what Ryan's saying about not knowing like how the Ten Rings were going to be interpreted by the MCU. Like if you think about it from a race point of view, the process, like having a character in the 60s called the Mandarin, and that character is from, like another culture from the point of view of Marvel Comics. So in the process of othering him, you don't want to make him cool, right? He's the other. He's the outsider. He's the villain. So if we make him cool and powerful and like having amazing power poses and destroying armies and looking amazing, it doesn't do the job that racist comics are supposed to do, which is to make someone the other and make them lesser for being the other. So having this guy with these rings who is like, you know, and is physically not as powerful as Iron Man and the other characters in that world, that's a really normal thing for Marvel Comics to do in the 60s, to just push these characters to the side and not make them cool. But when you watch Wenwu in this movie with those rings, he is so formidable. He's so cool looking. It's like, you can't go backwards. You can't go back to just being rings on fingers and being a non-physical presence. He has to have the power poses. He has to have the villain poses. That too. That was funny when you posted it. But it's just very typical that the thing that the MCU creators are faced with is, how do you take something from this place of racial othering and like making this character marginalized? How do you make it really, really interesting and empower this character and bring him to the forefront? And I thought the reinterpretation of taking that and then making it really good was like super effective. Those rings were an amazing weapon, and Wenwu was like so formidable, and it didn't feel connected in any bad way to what Marvel gave us in the first place. Anyway, that's my point of view. Thought it was cool.
You're muted, Kev.
No, I like it like this. This is good.
Damn. Where's my YouTuber image? I think for me, the most authentic thing, other than the license plate on the helicopter, was after Wenwu captures them and they're in his compound. They sit down for dinner in like a small kind of traditional family table. You know, they have a few dishes out on the table, just like you would have at home. Everyone's got their rice and just. Yeah, I thought, I'm like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And he's just sitting there schooling his kids, and their friends are like, hey, what are you doing with your life, and this and that. I think that was pretty is it way too stereotypical? No, that was fine. One of the other things was the choreography we talked about, and I'm just going for it. Whether this gets demonetized or not. On the bus fight scene, we saw it in the trailers. It looked awesome, and there's even more to it when you finally got to see the movie, which was great. The part where Simu has his jacket and he's using it kind of because one of the guys, not Razor Fist, I think somebody else had a weapon too, and he used his jacket to kind of deflect the attack. That's going to demonetize.
When we watched this one as kids, it was so clearly Rumble in Vancouver.
Not to me. I didn't know what the difference was.
They're on the golf course and the Rocky Mountains are in the background. Like,
oh, okay.
It was very clearly not New York City at all.
And then also another climbing up the side of the building with the bamboo scaffolding. That's a scene right out of Rush Hour, where I think both Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker end up hanging off of the side, and then having to be rescued. I was like, I could see that right away. Did you guys like Awkwafina's role in the movie?
You know,
Yoko. I'm gonna go.
I thought we were going to talk about the scaffolding fight, because I was going to say everyone talks about the bus fight, but I loved the scaffolding fight scene. I thought that it was like so exciting and a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, we can talk about Awkwafina. It was a great fight. Shout out to the scaffolding scene.
Shout out to the scaffolding team and Chinese bamboo, very strong.
So Kev, I gotta throw this in here. So the action designers, Chris Cowan, and most notably actually Young Lee. Young Lee's from Scarborough. So this is a guy that got notoriety through designing stuff on YouTube, like yourselves. Got discovered by Marvel and eventually got to do this for a living, playing out his childhood fantasies, and now has worked on things like Star Wars or whatever. And here's the other fun fact about Young. Met his wife, Munger Zhang, who plays Simu's sister in the movie. Yeah. They're married now. So the action designer is now married to the Xialing from the movie. So a bit of Canadian, a bit more Canadian representation on the film, not just in front of the screen, but the guy who was working with Chris behind the scenes, designing all of those action sequences, is actually a guy from Scarborough.
That's awesome.
That's very cool. There was someone who was doing what's that technology when they paste your face on another character and then
The deep
they
fake?
make wasn't there a deepfake guy who ended up getting hired by Star
Lucasfilm?
Wars because
Yeah, I think so.
but he redid the last scene of Mandalorian season 2 with Luke's face and he made it more deepfake. I'm an old man. What is that technology when they put that face on the other face? But so that's cool. That's cool that these companies keep their eyes out and hire those people. Yoko, what was I gonna say? Something about Aquafina.
You're asking her about Aquafina.
Yeah.
I thought Aquafina was used great in the film. I was worried about how much Aquafina would be in the movie, but I think she was great, and I think she helps really bring balance to Simu's acting, and his character, and it was great to see them paired, and I look forward to seeing how else she gets used. It's like if you think about it too much, it's kind of like, why is she kind of being included sometimes? But yeah, I'll let it go for fun.
Is there no comedic outlet if she's not there all the time? Like, would Simu just be cracking jokes? I mean, I think he's capable of doing comedy. I'm just going to keep it.
She also was the reason for them to speak English a lot of the time. So I think she's there as part of that storytelling technique as well, because her Mandarin wasn't totally up to par. So that's why I think, I think that kind of helps make sense to why they're speaking English sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Right?
She's there.
She had to drive them through the forest.
And she has to drive them, you're right.
Her skills.
Yeah.
The BMW placement was pretty nice and seamless, I think.
Yeah.
In the movie,
seamless.
We love our.
I was waiting for her to take me out of the movie.
Yeah.
I was ready for her to ruin scenes for me or distract me from the focus of the movie, but it didn't happen.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why did you go in thinking that way? You expected it, or you?
Because we all have a bias, my friend. We all have a bias, and I want to, I like things a little more serious. I'm not 10. I don't always need everything a little lighter and more fun, right? I enjoy Empire more than Return of the Jedi. I like things a little heavier. It's just my bias. So I was kind of thinking, great. She has nothing to add. But it just didn't really happen. The one who took me out of it was Ben Kingsley the entire time. That for me, him and what was the faceless Ewok's name? Yeah. That didn't click on for me. But again, it wasn't for me. I recognize that certain things in the movie are supposed to pull me in, and certain things are not for me, and that's okay. So he distracted me the entire time. He didn't add anything for my experience. But again, it's I get it. But I thought Aquafina did a good job. I just wish they maybe had given her one line to set up that she would have something to contribute at the end. She delivers the killing blow, a killing blow, and I'm cool with her hitting a target. That's all good. I just needed one piece somewhere along the way where we saw that she had an edge to her, or a formidable instinct, or something that when it happened at the end, it wasn't out of nowhere. It was okay, that made sense. But I enjoyed her in the movie. That was funny. I liked her.
She had some training.
Yeah,
the other guy wasn't too impressed with her.
They set up the Hotel California thing, right? That was her. This is how she handles a fight: is to add confusion.
You're so bitter. You're so bitter about Hotel California.
No, not at all. Listen. I'm saying they set that up, so we knew when she mentioned earlier that she adds confusion by doing that. Yes. That would work, and she tried it again in the movie. That's fine. Maybe if she had to use that approach again, she sees a moment where she can add confusion by maybe blowing up something to distract or whatever, then as the way to contribute to the big fight. I was cool with all of it. It was fine. She didn't ruin it for me or anything like that. I was into it. I like their dynamic.
Troy, what did you think of Death Dealer? We all got the action figure early. There was a lot of mystery there, Right. Is it a man? Is it a woman? Is it Michelle Yeoh? Because we don't know where we knew she was in the movie, but we didn't know where she was going to be. Could it be her training Simu?
Oh, that would have been cool.
And, you know, the character design was awesome. You have the mask, and you know, we got the toy. Ryan, thank you. A lot of awesome detail on there.
Love it.
But Troy, what did you think of that character? Remember, nobody's really watching this. So
No shame. Honestly,
you don't
I
have
thought,
to ask. Do you want my real opinion? Because
no,
Yeah, we
I'm
want
gonna
your
give you
real
my
opinion.
real opinion. I thought the character was kind of just wasted. There was so much potential for this character. Right when the scaffolding scene in the building, and he was awesome, right? It was a he, apparently, and that scene was
confirmed?
awesome. Yeah, but the actor was like revealing himself online. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited to play Death Dealer." Anyways, yeah, that scene was so cool. I thought he had so much potential, and then he's the first to die, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Kind of was like, I was kind of let down, and I was like, kind of a cool character, but
Yeah.
guess we can't do anything with this anymore. But I will say, going back to the Aquafina thing, that airplane scene was one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, because it was just a fun. They were just having fun, and that whole like the vegetarian, the chicken, the beef, it was so funny to me. I loved it, and she's like, "Well, we're obviously gonna have this." And it just was so funny, and it was so great. And I really love Aquafina and everything she does. So I love her. But Death Dealer, not so much. A lot of potential that was not there.
Unfortunate, but I mean, it's not a huge thing. Like the movie isn't worse off because of it. It's just something that, you know, she is like Captain Phasma, just completely. Because remember, Captain Phasma, when the Black Series figure first came out, it was like, this is so cool. It's like a chromey stormtrooper that's taller, and you want to see all this stuff. And you know, people, that figure was hard to find, and people were trying to gouge the price of it when they're selling. And now, no. So, but it's cool. It's cool if they had like an army. Like, did you need Death Dealer and Razor Fist? I know they're two independent characters, but they kind of serve the same function for Wenwu. I don't know.
Right, they were both kind of, I hate to say right hand, because he
has it.
But they were, you know, yeah. Well, I mean, Death Dealer also, the fighting style was so distinctive from everybody else in the movie. There's a really crouched down look and just really like decisive moves, as opposed to flow. He was awesome. He was super cool. But do you need both? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
He was also there training, right? He was the enforcer in the training when Shang Chi is young.
Right, but I mean, if you were to keep it, do you need Razor Fist? Then you could have had that person train, Death Dealer train, and then still make that realization at the end, like, hey, we need to work together. Or did somebody close to them have to have their soul sucked out first?
Maybe it was there also as a red herring for us.
Maybe.
I'm like thinking, you know, did the mom turn into Death Dealer? Like, was her soul taken now? She's like, you know, whatever. Is there going to be a move where she's Death Dealer, or is it going to be secretly his sister the whole time, or you know, who knows what? So I thought it was
a red herring to a mystery that isn't really there. It's just Ryan, did you bring any? I know your son brought the staff to the theater. Did you bring your Shang-Chi to the movie?
No, I didn't. I should have. That would have been fun.
I just felt bad if some kid brought their Death Dealer and they're like, "Oh, I can't wait for this payoff for this character," and they just walk out, like Charlie Brown walk, dragging.
Well, there was that comment that you put up that Death Dealer equals Boba Fett, so I thought that was kind of funny.
Yes,
I don't think that's fair, because if Death Dealer was Boba Fett, he would have accidentally fallen off the scaffolding to his death.
Also, a key difference is Boba Fett got 2 movies, died in the second movie. And so us kids had 3 years to think about and dream about that character. For 3 years. With, you know, no repeat viewings, nothing. This guy was done within 45 minutes or something. So
I love how whatever we talk about, it always comes back to the Boba Fett slander, and I'm all for it.
But now we have Boba Fett and the Mandalorian in his own show, so you
That's a
know.
different. That's a different Boba Fett. That's a clone. That's a clone.
He's already a
I'm
clone.
all for a redemption story.
Yeah, redemption story. That's fine. So Trevor, obviously not really needed. Michelle Yeoh's use or her character in the movie. Clem, what did you think of that when you? I mean, you saw it way before us, but how was that revealed to you?
Yeah, I mean, kind of using some of the really established actors from Asia playing prominent roles in this film. It was neat how Simu was sort of surrounded by a lot of people that have sort of different appeals and different backgrounds to kind of complement what he brought to the table. And yeah, I'm a little bit biased because he's my guy, but one of the things that I always said was that Simu does comedy pretty good. Like that's part of his chops and some of the things that I've seen from him, with some of the more diverse things he's done. He's done musicals numbers before. He can sing, he can dance, he can do all this stuff. But to be honest with you, like a lot of people globally don't know who he is, but to anchor it with a Tony Leung and a Michelle Yeoh and Aquafina and stuff like that definitely helps to, just complement his capabilities and also showcase, to the world what these Asian actors can do. Because for a lot of mainstream, they look at Michelle Yeoh, if they're not familiar with her earlier work, they see her in Crazy Rich Asians. She's not exactly, flexing her martial art capabilities, but
Right.
she's really good, on screen in terms of, the action stuff. So I think that was definitely very interesting for people to be able to see. And even for Simu, like if you've looked at any of his interviews, he'll say how in awe he was of, a lot of this type of talent that he got an opportunity to work with on a day in and day out basis. And from what I heard in Australia, she was like wonderful to him, giving him a lot of advice and just being like a really cool person to be around. And I think that, yeah, we'd all want an aunt like Michelle Yeoh, that can kick ass, but also be very sweet and kind and stuff like that. So I thought that was a really nice piece to the movie.
Man, I was pretty excited to see. This is open to chat and whoever wants to answer first. Seeing, I don't know if you knew there was a dragon going into the movie. If you didn't know that there was a dragon, was it too big of a change? Like, a lot of the first 2/3 of the movie was just like really good street level martial arts stuff, something very very grounded. I know it's a MCU movie, it's a comic book movie, but it wasn't anything crazy mystical other than the rings. But then it gradually went from like Morris to this Pokemon land that everyone's referring it as, with like the Ninetales fox and all those creatures, and then like all the sudden like a huge dragon at the end. Was there a big? Did you all know that there was a dragon coming from before the movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. One of the things that I think that kind of tipped me off was a Hasbro little toy that came out when the Shang Chi line came out. So I was like, oh, there's a protector, I guess. So
I think Lego spoiled it first. But
Was it
Thank
Lego?
you, Yoko. I was about to say that.
Well, I don't follow Lego that much. I only got my what if stuff, but no, I saw that dragon and I was like, oh, I guess there's a dragon in here. But yeah,
you asked about an
Ryan was
authentic
sweating.
Asian
He's like, "It was
experience
Lego, wasn't it?"
earlier. Yeah, but I mean, you want an authentic Asian experience, it's got to involve a dragon, I think. So like, I thought it would have been weirder if there was no dragon, honestly.
Would it have worked if the final fight was just Shang-Chi and Wenwu showdown and just kept it without the crazy huge CGI? Or do you think this was necessary for like a whole MCU kind of blockbuster? I mean, the dragons were cool, especially the soul sucking one. Like that thing looked crazy. I didn't expect how that creature was designed as well. But do you think it just came out of nowhere, or was there like a good build up to it? I saw Jason kind of.
Yeah, I always have, me, I always got opinions. Usually in a story, a character goes from their normal realm to the magical realm, the change from the first to second act. That's when that usually happens. And with the audience, like the character goes through the threshold and they enter into the magical realm. They get to Hogwarts or whatever it is. They leave Tatooine for the second act of the film. So this one, they get there for the third act of the film, as opposed to. So it didn't feel like it was tied throughout the entire movie. It felt like the rules were new for the ending. Yeah. Which I was okay with. I mean, I was along for the ride. We saw something him in the water with maybe a dragon or something in one of the trailers or commercials or
Yeah,
something.
you see the dragon's face when Simu's
Right.
kind of floating in the water.
I didn't know. I mean, like so many movies these days, you don't know if things are in chronological order throughout the whole movie, or where flashbacks are going to be, or where dream sequences or training montages are going to be. So I didn't know if it was going to be for the climax. Yeah, but I thought it was okay. I don't. Third act in Marvel movies are really tricky, and the more digital it is, the less connected I feel as I'm watching. So if we go back to talking about Black Panther, the fight on the plains between the different tribes, that I was like super connected, and because they were real people and what felt like a real space. But the second Black Panther and Killmonger are falling in CGI and the camera's going 360 around them, I'm like, and they're in the dark. I'm like, okay, we'll just let the fight end and then we'll get back to the human moment. So with this one, something similar. Once the fight got more CGI, not camera on the ground, I get disconnected from it and kind of wait for the fight to come back. So I would have, like you said about Shang-Chi and Wenwu having something a little more grounded. I wanted a street fight ending, but that's me and like again my bias. But I get why they went where they went.
Just real quick, because shout outs to Chris Perillo over on Twitch with the raid. Welcome everyone. We're talking about Shang-Chi right now, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want to hear any spoilers, come back to the channel later. But right now we're just talking about the movie and all the awesome merch that comes with it, because I'm a toy collector and I unbox stuff on YouTube and Twitch. So I like to talk about those kind of things. But if you're for it, if you're about it, feel free to subscribe and follow, hang around for the conversation. This is not a real Simu standing behind me, but I'm joined with some friends here who have seen the movie and have I think interesting input to kind of the topics that we're into tonight. But right now we're on final battle. This is, by the way, there's no chronological order whatsoever. I gotta stop moving these windows around. Clem, how did you feel about the ending and the dragon and the mystical stuff?
Yeah, so I'm not normally a guy who would necessarily jump on a YouTube cast or something like that. I tend to be more in the background, but in preparation for jumping on this, I listened to quite a bit of podcasts about Shang-Chi, so I'm stealing some ideas from someone else. But the way it was explained was that it was kind of necessary to have Shang-Chi battle something as big as a dragon, because if you're going to have him battle like a Thanos type of character later on, and if he's only fighting sort of on the street level, it gets a little bit disorienting. If some guy's just fighting guys on the street, then all of a sudden he's able to fight with gods. And so you kind of have to give a tease in terms of how he would actually fight with these sort of aliens or mythological creatures in order for you to understand if he's going to join the Avengers, how this actually works. So I understood that part of it. And the other interesting piece of it was that, and I don't know if this was intentional, but I did mention, because as you know, Kev, we ran a bunch of screenings in downtown Toronto. Shout out to all my CCY people that helped us to execute that. I talked to a bunch of friends of mine who are from China. And I said, what do you guys think? Because I know that the way that Marvel a lot of times is presented is very much from a sort of a Western perspective. And so what do you think about the movie? What was your favorite part? For the most part, they said, I like the second half a lot better. And the funny thing is, when I talk to Westerners, they're like, I like the first half a lot better. And I think that there's some sort of cultural orientation with entertainment where, the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragons, the Heroes, House of Flying Daggers, like that style of cinematography really resonates with that audience. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say that that's like everybody, but from the small sample size I talked to, there's an appeal there for that particular demographic. And if Marvel is trying to make a play in China, then perhaps it's almost like two movies in one to try and appeal to one type of audience, and then another movie to appeal to another audience and help establish who this guy is. And then when they come up with the next Shang-Chi or Avengers or whatever, then you're like, okay, so we get why this guy has the ability to scale up and fight at this level, but also it's appealing, to the various types of demographics that we're going after. So there, I'm not sure if it was that deliberate, but it seemed like there was some sort of thought put into kind of having this two different styles that were in the movie.
That's a pretty good point, because I think it's obviously China is such a huge market, right? I think everyone is cognizant of, in terms of numbers for your movies, what's going to appeal to specific audiences as well. Anyone else thoughts on the dragon final scene? I mean, and then we'll talk about how Tony Leung almost brought me to tears. But before that,
were the dragon's eyes bleeding around, or was it the color of the dragon? I felt like was the dragon damaged from the soul suckers sitting on his face or her face and carving, or was it just there was red and white coloring on the dragon's scales?
I want to see both.
I was trying to figure out
red eyebrows.
I don't know. I'd have to see it again.
Let's see it again.
I'll just chime in before I bounce out of here, guys. But so a note about the dragon, right? Like our Great Protector toy was designed to be a like post film holdback, basically, because it was this big beat in the third act, as Clem was saying, and so the way the movie date got pushed back and then the product was kind of on shelf, it all kind of got jumbled. But like we typically have to follow the studio guidance on that kind of things, but then a lot of times the trailer marketing will kind of mix things up on us. So there was like a glimpse of the dragon in the trailer, which was kind of a surprise to us, because we kind of have to play it completely safe and plan for, well, what if they actually do save it for the actual film release, and we don't want to be like the first ones out. So that's just kind of interesting note, and a lot of what we're seeing now with like the Spider-Man No Way Home with that trailer release, and like there's still much more movie marketing to come for that film, and like kind of the craziness of that. You never know kind of what they're going to do with the trailers and releasing. So it's sometimes the toy releases don't go necessarily according to plan. But that being said, my son does have the Lego Great Protector set, and we're building it over the weekend, so we're playing with all the dragons. But I gotta bounce out of here, guys. Thank you for having me. It was so nice to meet you, Yoko and Clem, Jason,
Ryan, thank you.
and Troy. I like hearing your takes, and so I know you got some content later this week, so I'll be tuning in. Can't wait to hear what Troy thinks of episode 5 of What If.
What If on Friday.
Good to see you,
thanks,
Ryan.
man. And
See you Monday.
Take care,
thank
guys.
you for making that Hasbro Pulse video. I think it was really, I think it was very necessary for what's for the movie and everything that's coming out. So thank you for that, and for some awesome toys. And thanks for stopping by.
Fan First Monday.
Yes, we'll see you on Monday. I didn't even catch that. Yes, we will see you on Monday.
you have to start writing your stuff down, because Ryan messaged me last night. He's like, "I'll be on in a bit." I'm like, "Isn't it only Tuesday?" He goes, "Oh shoot, I don't know what day it is."
I don't know what day it is anymore.
I'll message you on Monday to tell you.
Thank you. Please remind me that I have a live stream on Monday. That'll be great.
Thank you so much.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Clem, I understand you are on a bit of a time schedule as well. Here's your chance to duck out when the cool kids leave the party early to go to the other party.
I came late too, but admittedly, I have two young ones at home, and when I jumped onto this, I was a bit disoriented because I fell asleep trying to put down my daughter. But one thing I didn't want to do is thanks for having me here, but I had something cool for your viewers. So I snuck some stuff from the premiere. So I want you to raffle off to your viewers here this gift pack, if you want to call it. So it starts off with this is the bag, right? It comes in. I'm sure you've probably seen this at Disney Store. The Ten Rings hat, right, with
Ooh.
the Shang Chi logo there, has a book, a notebook, for anybody who feels like analog writing. There's a notebook.
Did you do your homework? Very Asian.
Yeah, this is cool. You can't see it, but it's a Shang-Chi t-shirt with a. Can you see the 10
Oh, yeah.
rings? It's kind of got the 10 rings in there.
Cool.
And the funny thing is, on the sleeve it says "in theaters only." I was going to cross it out and put "We are not an experiment," but I thought I would piss some people off, so I thought I'll hold off on that. But t-shirt, and this is, I'm not going to open it because I want to leave it sealed, but it's actually a Ten Rings flag in a pouch. So you can fly this Ten Rings flag to represent for your your crew, right? So I'm going to give you all this. I'm going to let you and your team figure out how you're going to do this out. But thanks for having me, and let me know. Well, I'll probably get it over to you, and then you can figure out how to get it out to whoever the lucky person is.
Dude, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much. And thank you for being on. It's I know you had some kind of really close experience and with what's going on with the movie, so I wanted to get your insights on that. But thank you very much for stopping by, and I'll figure out something to do a giveaway here. Everyone, if you're in the GTA, check out CCYAA. I put the link earlier, ccyaa.org. A lot of great programs. I coach basketball. There's all the different ages and just promoting physical activity, and it's just great. So check them out, please. And Clem, thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
Nice to meet you, Glenn.
Good night.
That nap when you're putting your kids to bed, that nap is a godsend. Like sometimes I'm just like, kids, can you please go to bed so I can take my nap? It's a great nap.
Kitty cat.
Yeah.
So now I got to figure out
Opinions.
those two giveaways. But I want that flag. Hey, now that Ryan's gone,
Yeah.
so we know the Marvel Legends wave. We have Shang-Chi, we have Wenwu, we got the Death Dealer, and Xiaoling. It's not up there because she fell down. And we have the US Target exclusive Katie or the Toys R Us exclusive Katie. Is there any characters that you want as a figure?
Razor Fist.
That
For sure.
Wait, just let me finish. That you want. Go ahead, Troy.
Razor Fist.
Razor Fist.
There are 4 that I want. I have a half wave. Okay? Razor Fist.
Hmm?
I want Shang-Chi in street clothes with running shoes with some good kicks. I want a modern comic book Shang-Chi. And
Like the current comic. Yeah.
this one. That's this one.
This one.
This one.
Yeah.
And take it out of the plastic, man. Let it breathe. And I also want Michelle Yeoh. Those I got for me. That's already started. Like that's most of a wave, right? I got 4.
Yeah. Yoko.
Shower Bucky.
Oh, what do you mean? What are you referring to?
Just kidding.
No, Bucky.
I wouldn't buy. Like I don't need anything else for my collection. I would love to see them make Wenwu and Lee from the beginning. You know, so like him in his whites and her in that cool outfit. I think that would be a cool 2-pack. I would like for it to exist, but I don't need it in my own life.
Right. What about you, Kevin? What do you want?
Before I go into my wants, let's see. The chat says they want Lucy. No, that's the cat, Lucy. Says
Lucy.
so that's the mom, Shang-Chi's mom, and the aunts. That would be cool. Wong is definitely overdue.
Yeah.
Everyone in that final Infinity War fight has a figure except him and Howard the Duck. So
Right. Okay. I put him off from this thread because I thought we'd get him in the next. Like in my mind, I know he's coming. Like I have him in my head as like is a figure that we're getting eventually.
this is what we're talking about in your
So
head. It's
I
not
I didn't think of including him in this wave because we're getting him for either the next Doctor Strange or the next Spider-Man. But absolutely, I want a Wong figure with multiple heads for the different degrees of how shaved his head is.
And then a zombie head as well, right?
because he's been in so many movies and he still doesn't have a figure yet. So
Yes, and like I said, he has
faithful-
to come with his earbuds. With his, was it an iPod he was listening to, or
Mm.
yeah,
Was it an iPhone? I don't know.
whatever it was, with his little
But you-
Beyonce. Yeah,
You guys wouldn't want a zombie head as well?
nice. No,
we'll save that for Friday. Those are all awesome, and I agree with all of them. This is the only picture I can find with her in this outfit.
Oh,
but
that's
if
cool.
I were to get her with this mask and the hat, that would be cool. If they can make it removable, I think that would be awesome. I don't know if they would like. I don't know. I would want it in like a Marvel Legends just to go with the rest of the
sure.
the rest of the wave. I have this Tony Leung with the
Mhm.
long hair. Okay, now
Yeah,
if Marvel Legends, they didn't know how he was going to use his rings before the movie came out, so this figure only came with these accessories. Now, but you've seen the Lego has the swirling swoosh with the water and the rings shooting out. Now, if they make this Wenwu with those effects that could fit on the other figure, then that's a way to get that effect in there with this character. I mean, this one scene that's like 3 seconds, they pan across, he's sitting in the chair in front of the rings logo, just a total badass. I need that for sure with the long hair. I see some people in the chat agree, so give him. I don't know how fan channel, I don't know if they can fill out a whole wave. Maybe they just do 4 and then 2 comic figures like the first wave. Who knows?
can I ask you guys just a awesome? Can I ask you guys
relax
a
there.
question?
Settle down, fella.
An ending question.
Yes.
So the sister takes over the terrorist group, right?
Yeah.
So the 10 Rings is the name of the terrorist group that she has, but Shang-Chi has possession of the 10 Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Is he also, did you get the impression he's the wielder of the 10 Rings now? Like now when we see Shang-Chi, he's no, I mean, in the comic books, you know, he had a tag, like he had a name. It's Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu,
Yes.
or Master of Kung Fu Shang-Chi. He wasn't a super-powered character, which is,
No.
obviously this is not the same thing. I totally get that. I'm just trying to understand, like in my head, extrapolate forward. Is he going to wield the 10 Rings as the thing that he has superpowered to put him on par with the other Marvel characters?
Avengers world saving level.
Right. So then does he have like some brand problems? Like the sister has this terrorist group that has 10 rings. He's like, no, 10 rings is my thing and it's good. And is that where we're at now, or am I misreading it?
I don't think you're misreading it at all. I think that definitely he's a wielder, and definitely his sister is now taking over the organization. So that's definitely something that's probably going to be fleshed out in Shang-Chi too, because we know that the 10 Rings organization will come back. And it was kind of funny that they didn't put Shang-Chi will come back. It says the 10 Rings will return.
Right.
So
see them doing like a Disney Plus series too or something, but I think 2 things. A, like his rings are different, right? Because his are gold, so they stand for something different.
True.
So I think there's like a visible difference there from people who will remember seeing the bad 10 Rings and now Shang-Chi's 10 Rings. It's but I'm not convinced that it's like, because so Shang-Chi thought, he said at the end that the sister went back to shut it down, right? So he doesn't know what's going on over there, but like maybe she's just organizing some elaborate fight club.
Maybe.
I mean, can we talk about that fight club for a second?
Yes.
You definitely should.
Because Kevin, we were talking about this in Toys R Us with DK. Did you guys notice that there was an Extremis guy fighting a Black Widow?
That was one of the questions that a friend of mine brought up, because the 10 Rings has been around presumably, well, before Hydra, right? Before all these other organizations, and they're so deep in everything. Did they ever cross paths? Did they ever like? Is there any? There's no really any mention of that. It's just the Ten Rings have been there when they go through like the timeline and the story. And another thing that it's like how were they affected as a result of the blip? Those are some things that we're missing in the story. But yes, in the Fight Club, the Golden Daggers Club or something. We saw you're walking down the hallway. There's different rooms of people doing the smaller fights. And I there was so much going on I couldn't even see what was happening. But Troy, please give us the in depth.
Well, I guess they're just like looking in the room, and there's a guy like powering up, and he has the extremis like powers in him, and he's fighting, and it's a girl. And like if you really look closely to her costume, it's a widow costume. So I was like, so this widow became a street fighter for
She's actually in the room in the final scene when they're all freed.
Oh, is she?
She's in that scene.
See, in Black Widow.
Yeah, from Black Widow.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. But it's kind of cool because it's tying into other movies, and it's like I really liked. I forget what his name was. What was that guy's name? The sidekick guy, the sister's sidekick. But anyways, yeah, John. She's like, "You go, Helen." And I was like, "Oh wow, her name's Helen." That's pretty funny. But yeah, no, it's like that scene is like you have to really like look in depth to see what's happening. Like I was like, "Oh my god, what's happening? What's happening?" But they kind of spoiled it if you watched it. If you watched the clips early online, that clip was online, so I went to go watch it a couple times, and I was like, "Oh, it is someone powering up. Oh, it is a widow." So yeah, you can see that online right now if you YouTube it. But yeah,
someone asked me, it's like if it's what are the after effects of the Red Room coming down and being taken apart? Well, that I think that's one of them right there. She's in the room. One of them chose to be a cage fighter and fight there and make money. So there is that.
Yeah.
Anything else? Oh well, I mean the cage fight. Come on, Wong. If I want Wong, maybe if you want to pair him with an Abomination in a 2-pack, you have if you have. What, Jason? What's the figure that you just got of yourself? Like they just made of you, Iron Man guy.
Oh my gosh, Happy Hogan. No wait, Obadiah Stane. Obadiah Stane.
They have
Happy Hogan from the neck down.
They have Stane and the armor, right?
As soon as you said it, I knew who you meant.
Obadiah.
You are so racist.
I'm beardist.
Not every
I'm
bald bearded white middle-aged man is the same man.
I mean,
if you have Obadiah and the suit of armor as a 2-pack, how cool would it be to get this updated Abomination and Wong? If you don't think Wong will fit in another as a 2-pack, I mean, they updated the look of Abomination. Let's talk about him real quick. And Wong refers to him as Emil. So it's the same character.
Yeah, Emil Blonsky. I'm really happy they made the changes to his design too.
I think it looks really cool. Where do you think they went afterwards?
When they went to go get shawarma.
Was it the raft?
I still think that Valentina is going to show up somewhere and recruit the Abomination.
Right, Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're on good terms, right? He's like talking about let's make the fight better next time. Like they're holding a stage, so
it's clearly staged like all of wrestling. Yeah. So how what if he's in the raft and holding are they on some sort of kind of program?
Is he on like probation? Like
perfect
out for good behavior training?
Yeah.
Practice?
And
socialization.
But I was thinking was like, would General Ross want a super powered being like Wong near the Abomination? Like if he's on the raft?
I don't think he's on the raft. I think he's Thunderbolts in a like on a leash, on a longer leash.
A Thunderbolts-like compound, but then is Wong involved?
Well, he's allowed to take him out.
He's his handler.
I don't think Abomination could knock out Abomination in one punch.
It's an act. It's all an act.
Oh yeah, it's true. You're right. Never mind.
There you go. Some people think it's the raft. I'm very curious to see how that will. I mean, that has to be leading to something. It has to be explained somewhere. So I'm very curious how that all ties together.
I think it's the raft only because I can't think of where else it could be. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
King Roman 86 says, I think Valentina is gonna recruit Xialing. Is she recruiting Abomination too? Yeah, I mean, that's something that I'm looking forward to having answered.
How race based should I make this conversation? Should I
Just
steer
go
away
for it.
from something?
Just go for it. I know your intent is never to be.
Oh, it's not. No, listen. We all have blind spots, and we're all going to say things and think things that don't have great stuff behind it sometimes. But I think if the MCU, if Kevin Feige and crew are intent on making something that is going to connect with members of the Asian community in the broadest sense around the world, one of the key things that you do is you don't make characters that are Asian subservient to characters that are white North American. Okay. You don't put. So that's to me why it's Wong and not Doctor Strange. Wong is the one who goes to talk to him because it's again, Shang-Chi's not working for Strange, he's connecting to Wong. It's a different dynamic. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So having her go work for Valentina is to take power away from that and give it back to a colonizer. So I don't think that's the direction they're going to go with any of those characters for now. But maybe not. Who knows?
We have Jason Lowe in the house. What's going on? He says Coulson mentioned Abomination being in Alaska in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Cool.
In a different universe from the MCU.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
I knew that was going to trigger Yoko.
Two-pack, all right? Long overdue for a Wong figure. A Shang-Chi and Katie in civilian clothes.
You said Jason Lowe is here? This Jason Lowe?
Yeah.
This Jason Lowe?
This Jason Lowe? Who has a story illustrated in this comic? That Jason. Yes. What's up, Jason?
Awesome.
Sean, I call him Sean when he's in civilian clothes because at that point he's like, Sean? No wonder they found you. You're in hiding and you change your name from Shang to Sean. Like,
I thought that was so funny.
That was hilarious.
It was so good.
I have a friend he hated that scene so much because he's racist. And he still wants it to be Shang-Chi. Like, he's really insistent. And I'm just like, dude, you don't get to decide what, two white guys call a Chinese character in the 1970s. It's obviously not going to come with a great deal of sensitivity and accuracy. You got to let it go, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, and they're insulting us by making a pronunciation scene. I'm like, shut up. Like, anyway, the negativity, I just have no patience for it.
Shang. I mean, if they're telling you in the movie, it's like, what's the point of saying no? I'm still gonna go back. Like, that's you're actively, deliberately trying to.
There are very famous comic creators who are making a point of still pronouncing it the way that, again, Steve Englehart and Jim Starlin and Marvel in the 1970s did, because it's. People get pronunciation wrong, and they also misname things like the word Indian. And, for how many decades or centuries people on this continent called the indigenous people Indian? Like, it's still going. And it's like, they're not from India. It's a misnomer. You have to learn that when you realize you're wrong, you pivot. It's that simple. And if his name isn't Shang, then don't say Shang. Like, you pivot. You just show respect and pivot. But that wasn't the topic. I'm sorry. It's tangential.
So one thing I do want to mention, so at the end credits, we do see Captain Marvel. Did you know that the director, what is his, Dustin, what's his name? I forget his name. Dustin Cretton?
Yeah.
He is a frequent collaborator with Brie Larson. So in other projects that he's directed and produced, Brie Larson's in it. So for when I saw Brie Larson in it, I was like, oh, cool. This is another collaboration that they have together. So that was something that if you know the director and what he's done and Brie Larson, you know that she's a frequent collaborator of this director. And I think she was instrumental getting him this position as well.
That's cool. Yoko and I recently watched Brie Larson's music video. Were you there on the Average Nerd podcast?
Yes.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It was weird.
It was weird.
Which one was that?
Which song?
I don't even know.
Was it that when she was
in like a
younger?
diner.
She's working in a hamburger.
Yeah. She looks like Avril Lavigne. Yeah.
He has a guitar.
Hairs in
Shout
her
out
face.
to,
You only see half her face.
Average Nerd podcast. Michelle Yeoh figure.
Yes.
Can I get through my? I'm gonna try to get through my list. How badass is this? Okay,
but Michelle Yeoh from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 or Shang-Chi.
She's one of those rare few people that
from this
one character in the MCU.
Maybe she's a variant.
You know how I feel about Guardians.
I don't know how you feel about Guardians.
I don't know how you feel.
Exactly. I don't know how I feel either. Not great.
I don't remember her in Guardians 2 though.
She plays one of the original like comic book style Guardians of the Galaxy. She's one of the members of what's the Ravagers?
Yep.
With Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, with Stallone. Yeah.
She's a captain of her own ship, and
That's right.
Yeah.
I still think she's a variant of this.
That seems like a waste
character.
Why would they, put her there? But I would want this. The way I see it in my head, if you do like if the Eternals have an exclusive for like Salma Hayek and Angelina Jolie for whatever, like she can be a single store exclusive if you can't fit it into a wave. Put it into a store exclusive figure. I'd be down for that. You can see I've put way too much thought into this because I do want all this stuff.
Well, she has a massive, like, if I just use the word genre, like she's a genre icon, right? So you make a toy of her, like absolutely. Yeah, Gemma Chan is the other good one who's in both Captain Marvel and
Eternals?
And the Eternals, yeah.
A Foo Dog Build-A-Figure. Okay, you've all seen a Foo Dog statue, whether you knew it or not, like a temple outside, like a Chinese restaurant. It's like a stone statue with. It kind of looks like a lion. It kind of looks like a dog. It's got like curly curls when it's the statue, and there's always a pair at the bottom of the stairs or the entrance. And they were in. Someone wrote in the chat, Chinese Narnia. So those were those giant beasts there. I'll take that as a Build-A-Figure, or Razor Fist as a Build-A-Figure. These are all things that I want, and that's I think that's my list. Oh, and arena fight Xiaoling with her arena clothes and that little hoodie.
I like the black costume a lot. The black costume was so dope.
In some of the recent comics that I read, she takes over this organization, but Shang-Chi is supposed to be like, it's supposed to be his position. He inherits it from his father's passing, and I think he tries to turn this organization to do good. From some of the stuff that I've read, I've tried to go read the old stuff, and it just I can't. So I tried to read some of the modern comics.
There's a new one, right? There's a new series, right?
There's an ongoing one right now.
It'd be ridiculous if there wasn't. Like, it'd be such a misfire. Can I ask you guys some custom advice? I prefer, like, the Dragon Scale armor is cool on Shang-Chi. but I prefer the bare arms. I think it's a more powerful pose. I think it's more striking. If I was to get a second Shang Chi figure, pop those arms off and put on some bare arms, or arms at least with maybe gauntlets or bracelets, what arms would you recommend I use?
The Spider-Man one that had the arms.
6-arm Spidey?
The 6-armed Spider-Man.
Okay, but I have an issue with the idea of going from a comic book arm style to movie arm style, which are real human beings. Are there any bare-armed movie MCU figures?
Some sort of Hawkeye?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, Hawkeye.
I have a Hawkeye who's collecting dust.
There you go.
Well, okay. I guess it was a question you don't want to do any more thinking, Kevin. I gotcha.
I think I answered it really well.
You could do 4.
Oh, too big. He stands too tall. It's too big.
No Shower Bucky. That's for Friday. Shower Bucky is for Friday.
Kevin, can I be very honest with you with one of these? Did
What?
you guys sneak a zombie cap into one of these?
You know what I realized? Knowing that there are flight stands, we might have made a mistake on some of them.
Because
Did you open it?
No, I feel a shield
Yeah.
and a helmet,
Yeah.
but
then you're
no Sharon Carter hair or Peggy Carter hair.
Yeah. There's no hair. It's probably DK.
I thought I got rid of the zombie stuff, okay, guys? But no. They just come back into my house.
That's what they do.
crazy. That's what zombies do.
Just
Also,
going down the toilet.
If there's a Shang Chi and Katie 2-pack, you give Simu a different expression. So maybe like bus fight kind of aggressive look. You know, maybe that whole outfit from the bus fight. Then that way I can put him on. You can also so basically whatever like they couldn't put into the first wave, whether they didn't know about it or missed it. These are opportunities to get it in there. Then I can have like a more angry fight face with this
100%
figure.
And like extra jackets. They had some great jackets in this movie.
Yeah, jacket. You know, we showed the Jackie Chan fight scene. How they're using their jacket, integrating it into the choreography. I would see that. And then there's also SH Figure Arts just announced. Well, showed more pictures of their Shang-Chi figure. I don't think the face looks as accurate, which is crazy compared to a Marvel Legends. But that's just me. But he does have more articulation. So there is
Can you share with the class the Rock Glove Shang-Chi collection, the jewelry? There might be people in your chat who are interested and haven't seen it. It's beautiful.
Oh, I guess if I can enable some people to buy.
Would this be your points?
This is a brand that Yoko frequents isn't the right word.
It's kind of the right word.
Here we go. You can get this bracelets.
Wait, is it only one for $100?
Yeah, so it's $1,000 to buy the whole.
I mean, these aren't meant to be like props, you know, it's jewelry.
These aren't for fighting, Troy. You have to earn those after years of training at the temple. You don't just hand them over to anybody. You can't just buy them.
For apparently $1,000, you can.
These look cool. I want to 3D print it, but there's a lot of detail in there.
Yeah.
I won't know how to 3D print it, which side facing up, and then you got to get like if you want glowy details in those little ridges. It's
and it probably matters because it's definitely some alien language with some secret coded message, right?
Do you guys think the rings are from the Eternals?
I do.
Do you?
There's that mid-credit scene. They don't know where it's coming from. They say the rings are super old.
Yeah.
There's 10 rings. There's how many? Is there 10 Eternals?
Well, it doesn't have to necessarily be like one for every Eternal, but why not?
That's actually good. You know, usually they tie into the next movie with a post-credit scene. So,
For me, it was just the potential that like, oh shoot, he's gonna be like in more stuff. Hey, he's standing there talking to Captain Marvel. He's talking to Bruce Banner, not the Hulk.
Yeah, which I wasn't expecting. That we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
let's.
Like that's continuity talk. Like
Oh, before we get onto that, here there's a green pendant that you can get. That's like the one that Shang Chi wears. There's a 10 rings ring, which is pretty badass, and a pendant. Yoko, did you get any of these?
I did not get any of the Shang-Chi jewelry, but I have a lot of their Star Wars jewelry.
Yeah, you bought a Ahsoka ring that comes with a Ashley
Mm-hmm.
Eckstein
Yeah.
autograph. That's cool.
I have her autograph on a pop figure,
We don't mention that word here.
which I got at San Diego Comic-Con 2018.
Medium flex. Yes. So, Bruce Banner.
I was there.
yeah, that was really
Discuss.
cool.
What are we
Why is
doing?
he not?
The arm is
Sorry.
still injured, which
Yeah.
Oh, Bruce. Yeah.
I was kind of surprised even that they took that approach in Endgame that he doesn't heal, because of course in the comic book, Hulk, rapidly heals from injury, as well as kind of Hulk in the movies up until that point. But
Kind of saw it in What If.
we saw that Hulk doesn't heal.
What if Friday, guys? I want to talk about What If too, but we're just keeping this full of Shang-Chi spoilers
Just
for
don't
people
want
who've
me
had
talk
time to
about
watch.
Bucky.
But with his change to what are they calling him? Like not Dr. Hulk, Professor Hulk is kind of the
Professor.
right? The change to Professor Hulk is that he came to some sort of accord with the Hulk consciousness, and they've like struck a deal, and they're sharing space. That's like the finding that balance. So why was he not Professor Hulk in this one? That's great. And maybe now they have a trust between them, and
How much time do we think has passed?
I don't think much. I think
That's
maybe
the thing. We don't know how much time has passed. Whoa, that's a huge warning. I just wanted a banner.
And you put it up now for the first time 2 hours in.
Said, can we get your spoiler-free take on thing? And I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, you don't know how much time has passed, how these specific group of people were affected by
I mean,
I saw something that had like I forget, but I can't remember what it was now. But I saw someone map out like the approximate time here, but now I can't remember what it was. So sorry.
But based on what? What do we have?
Well, there were some hints, right? Like he had his Class of 17 T-shirt.
But what does that mean?
I'm trying to remember. I watched this movie one time.
same. But if you look at Carol Danvers' hair, she has short hair in Endgame and long hair there in Shang-Chi. So, like, how long does it grow? Can you grow your hair?
When you're powered by the Tesseract, your hair can grow at surprising rates. So come on, what are we gonna do?
There were they're talking about the blip. There was a poster somewhere that said like post blip anxiety, like meetup group. So they did recognize that the blip happened. I think what I was reading was doing the math where Shang-Chi didn't get blipped. He survived through the 5 years for all the age and timing to make sense. So I think
him and Katie have been friends for 10 years.
Yeah.
So
and
based on that math,
and he's been there since he was 14, right?
Yeah.
I think that was the math in class. So it didn't really actually help with what year they're in now at all. It was
these are all just numbers.
It was just
the timeline.
It was just to prove that he survived the blip. I got confused.
So did his whole family survive the blip?
It seems like it.
Seems like it.
Hmm?
Unless,
I hope so. I hope that they don't keep making the blip the cause of or solution to some of the problems that characters that you gotta let characters have their own story too. Not everything can be tied to what happened with the blip. So I hope it wasn't part of his journey. Yeah, but I was surprised to see. Anyway, I was surprised to see Banner with his arm in a cast or sling.
But apparently, Banner is going to be in She-Hulk, but not as Bruce Banner. Oh, sorry, as the Hulk. So it's going to just be as Professor Hulk. Oh, sorry, just Bruce Banner. So maybe it's just a CGI thing where it's cost too much money to.
That was my first thought.
So you're right. So
they couldn't do hologram and Hulk. It was it was either hologram or Hulk there in person. They couldn't add both of those effects together in that
As
scene.
well, to support what you're saying, Troy, if you're going to have a She-Hulk show and you're going to keep bringing the Hulk into it, it diminishes how awesome she is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if it's her show.
If it's her show and you have full Hulk there, it takes. So you have to have a Bruce Banner. Yeah, that's good. It makes sense. It works for me.
It's like if I watch Titans, they tease Batman because he's there, but I don't want Batman to be there all the time because you're watching the Titans and their story.
Yes.
That's
Makes
the
sense.
next closest thing I could think of for whatever reason, even though there is a Batman there.
What else?
I want to watch it again. I can't wait till Disney Plus gets this.
Yeah, I'm a little. I'm gonna wait for the movies just a bit because my next movie is gonna be in a month from now.
Which is
Venom 2.
oh, okay.
They pushed up the date.
I thought they pushed it out. Did they bring it back up again?
Yeah, so they pushed it to like the end of October, then they pushed it to the beginning of October now. So like it's finally set October 2nd in theaters.
I thought they pushed it to like January for some reason.
They did, and then they pushed it back, and then they pushed it forward. It's
gonna be great.
Yeah, but I'm hearing rumors. Sorry to burst people's bubbles, but I'm hearing rumors that No Way Home is going to be pushed to spring, because one of the girls that I watched, she said the VFX needs a little bit more tweaking, and she says
going to be rioting.
So she says that it could do with some more tweaking, but I don't know about these inside scooper people, but that's what she's saying. Check out Grace Randolph if you know who she is.
Oh,
one of the things I forgot to mention, the design of their costumes. They're clearly Asian inspired, and all you have was promo material and these figures from before the movie. I don't know what this pose is. I don't know how to do her fighting style, but I think the story for it behind it, I was telling our friend DK, was that it didn't seem like it was kind of forced in there. Like it was organically like, hey, it's clothes that were left here from this village, from this mystical village, that we made these I guess they're battle suits. I mean, they're dragon armor.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not just like, oh, here's an Asian superhero, we're just going to give him Asian looking clothes. Like it came like part of the story. It's like kind of organically in there. Like, hey, it's from this village that they all kind of dress old school. But I just didn't know how the mom had their sizes beforehand.
Well, I don't. Obviously, you've never worn dragon scale. There's a little bit of
very flattering.
Is it like unstable?
It's not as far as unstable molecules. That's like a whole other level.
It's like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of
I
flexibility.
have no idea what
I feel like I said that last time for some reason.
Yeah, I wish he was just sleeveless, but yeah, I like the getting those suits.
Did anyone else think his sleeves were rolled up this whole time?
It has that impression.
I thought because of this cuff, I thought his sleeves were rolled up because he's kung fu fighting. But then Joyce was like, no, those are just 3/4 sleeves. I'm like, well, it's right there in the character design. I should have seen it a mile away. Like the rings are going to be his. They made space for it on his outfit. Like,
look at the poster.
Give him the rest of the sleeve. Yeah, I never looked that closely at it. Oh, you mean this giant thing back here? I just got that. I just got that. Is it weird how he knew how to control the rings?
No.
Okay.
They did miss. They did. I mean, for me, again, everyone tweets their own. Your mileage may vary. I thought they did miss him leveling up in his instruction session, where he's supposed to. All he did was do one circle with his foot. He's like, okay, now I get it. He did the foot circle sweep. I'm like, okay, now I understand another level of this martial art. I needed a little bit more in that montage where he acquires a new knowledge or a new philosophy that enables him to do a higher form of martial arts than his father, to enable him to.
They were there for like a day, right? Like not even a full
However
day.
long.
Like
or
and
time.
I think it would have made Katie's archery, a little bit more believable too if
Sure.
they had been there a little bit longer, where they would have had time.
I thought they would be like in this pocket dimension. Time moves differently, so you know
Maybe.
it might be
I
how
would have
because
been
they needed one extra day for the path to open. They've
Right.
spent
Maybe that's what it
10 years
was.
preparing for war.
Yeah.
Then Katie has leveled up her skill. Then then Shang-Chi has trained enough to be like, I mean, Tai Chi. It's like that Tai Chi style, and you know, it's like, okay, so you can redirect the rings. And then the mom was able to use the like wind and stuff to kind of hold it into a ball. But for him, Simu's like, I'm going to place this ring here, and then I'm going to step on top of them and then flip off of it, use them as a stair and attack. And it's like, I don't get how he got that expert at it.
I think when I remember, wasn't his mom like teaching him how to do these things when he was younger?
Right.
Like he didn't. They weren't doing like a violent, like his father didn't teach him like the violent ways until after the mom died, right?
Yeah.
But the mom was teaching him and his sister like what she learned in Tao Lo. So
yes, I thought that was actually like a really beautiful idea. Like, you've known this all this time.
Right.
You know, I've given you everything you needed before I died, and that's why I'm able to not have my power anymore. That's why I'm able to die, and you're actually ready. You'll be able to do it. Like, I thought that was a great idea. It just needed to be dial that up a little.
Right. Like, yeah.
Because
And like Non reminded him a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And then,
More than just a foot sweep. It has to be like, there has to be some language to make us understand that too. Like, not naming a philosophy, but like a line, like a mantra of some kind, like something that she says, like, remember, you can do this. Like, it's not just a punch. It's also, you know, something where it's like, it's something just to build a little bit richer, so that when he does change his outlook in the fight, or building up to the fight, I believe that he is more sophisticated than he was 3 minutes ago. Like, I need a little bit more.
like, like a little bit more obvious, like the realization that he is a product of both his father and his mother, right?
In equal part.
Right.
She does say that, right? She says
Yeah.
you're combination of everything from your past, the good
and
or the evil.
And that's what when Wu finally sees too, right? Like he at the end, like he realizes his wife isn't behind in the depths of hell or whatever. Like she is in him. She is in his children, right?
Do
and I
not
think
mention midichlorians, Trevor. Come on, bro. No midichlorians.
Midichlorians.
Why is he there? Training montage, you know, a little bit of running up the stairs like Rocky, Eye of the Tiger style.
Okay, since you brought that up, did you feel
What, tiger style?
No, you said Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah.
So did you feel that the score of the film was iconic enough? Meaning that when you left the movie, was there a theme, like a musical theme for Shang-Chi, that if you hear it echo again, you're like, oh.
No.
That's the dragon scene?
only
No.
Hotel California.
I think so, yeah. Honestly, when you left, like for
that
me,
left more of an impression.
It did. But when I left Black Panther, like there was that song that just kept on playing, and the soundtrack was so
Black
iconic.
Panther soundtrack is
It's
I mean, every
iconic.
time it comes up when we talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or what was it? What If? Was it What If recently when the music came back? I think
Yep.
It has a very distinct sound to it. Sorry to interrupt, but that's what I mean. For Black Panther, it was
that was just like Okoye's one moment, and they brought it back in, you know, when T'Challa is fighting against Collector. I think that's it when they did it. But like you guys said, like, no, his grand theme, the grand T'Challa theme is so strong. And that's Ludwig Göransson, singer who did Mandalorian.
Right.
Like, how strong that theme is too. And
Childish Gambino songs. He's a rapper.
Thanks. Also in the MCU. I think that for me was another thing. I just needed that. I guess that one's a real gamble. Like, you never know if you're going to get a John Williams level iconic theme for a movie. They don't just come. Obviously, you can't just pay for it, because you have to have something creative that happens where there's magic. But I would have loved it more if there had been a musical refrain that was so distinctly for Shang-Chi, that I walked out of that theater humming it, and it's in my sleep, and it's all I want to do is now download the soundtrack. You know what I mean? Like the score.
It's like it's kind of funny because like people are mentioning like Wonder Woman's guitar riff, and I'm like literally as I'm reading that, the guitar riff is in my head.
Right.
Mhm.
Like I could hear
Yeah.
it. Like I could hear
Yeah.
these things, and like I wish that like when you said John Williams, like the Star Wars theme just
And
started playing in
Indiana
my head.
Jones, and Jaws, and Jurassic Park, and
Yeah.
Harry Potter, like
Superman.
Superman. That guy was just money at giving you that
Mhm.
iconic phrase. But the Wonder Woman one is a fun, like little nugget. But there isn't like a whole song that crescendos with it where
No.
you feel uplifted when you hear
Mhm.
that guitar riff. It was like every time the camera pans to her in the fight with Doomsday, they throw that song in. You're like, okay, cool. But with this one, I thought it would have raised his epic status as a Marvel legend, as they're phrasing it now, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
That's great marketing for Marvel Legends team, by the way.
Great marketing.
When they put that in there, that's hilarious. But when Shang-Chi is swooshing around on the dragon, I didn't get anything from that music. It
Right.
seemed very, very timid. It didn't play up any of the magical element, didn't
Right.
make it seem like it was adventurous or like this is not a final battle music.
Yeah.
I remember in that moment, I'm like, well, this song is kind of lackluster.
Mhm.
So would it would have worked if they played the bus theme, you know, not the song from the beginning? Because
No.
stuff like that when they use like music that's out of like that timeline or that environment, that kind of takes me out of it. But
So
other than,
I
would
think
that have been another
we discovered what the answer is. Like the magic sauce is you give his dad a very dark and powerful, masculine theme. You give his mother something sweeping and graceful and beautiful, and then his theme is echoes both. And it's like you hear both those pieces come together, hinting throughout the movie. When you get to the end, it's now both themes integrated in a way that just like brings it all together, and you get overwhelmed by how awesome it is. But they didn't. So
they did not.
the next movie, let's take another swing at it.
I think ultimately this was more of a story about Wenwu for me from the beginning. The very first seconds was his story, his journey. I mean, we spoke about this before. I think he kind of seems to me like kind of like the protagonist. He's like it's a lot about him. He becomes the bad guy. He gives it all up to he's conquered everything and he wants something else. And it's not just because of Tony Leung's performance, but I think the story itself. There's so much of it based on what he does and what he wants, and it's his thing that's driving the final fight in the end. You know, and it's just a crazy story. He gives up. He's like, oh, I can give up my life of crime, start a family, and then. No, you can't. Your past is going to catch up with you. Oh, if I never took these rings off, this never would have happened. Go back to being a bad guy and, do all this stuff at the end, sacrifices himself and then transfers the power to his son. It's crazy. Wenwu stole the show. I completely agree. I don't know. Do you guys think he overshadowed the story?
I think
it doesn't have to be a bad thing either.
No, I don't think so. I think he really, it was Shang-Chi's movie, but it was really Wenwu's journey you were going through. And a lot of the things that you were watching was Wenwu's, how he felt and what he, right at the end, it really killed me. When he was when Shang-Chi was like, that's not her. That's not her. And he's like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I felt like it was such a heartbreaking scene, and I don't know, I just felt like it was Wenwu's movie, and I really love that character, and he is one of the best villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's in my opinion.
He's the difference maker, right? We have all these amazing heroes in the MCU, and it's the movies with these great villains that are complete characters, not just zany bad guy, right? Those are the movies that are the best movies in the MCU, I think. These characters like I don't know, like a Loki or a Thanos, but like my bias aside, Bucky and Captain America Winter Soldier, it's like these villains that you kind of start to feel bad for. And that's what Wenwu is, I think, or Killmonger is probably even a better example.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Like
Empathy.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more than one dimensional villain is key these days. But I think you're right. You called it the difference maker. And yeah, the movies that have a villain that carries their weight in the movie, it makes a huge difference. Like, does anyone care about Jude Law's character in Captain Marvel?
No.
Whether he lives or dies, right? Does it stay with you? Yeah, definitely a difference maker for sure. They say a hero is only as good as their villains, and if the villain is formidable and three-dimensional, that will push the hero to greater lengths, for sure. I think when Wu coming to terms with the reality that his wife is gone, and then seeing that the wife lives on in the boy, like that's a really powerful message. And yeah, I could have used that played up more. Truthfully, I found the soul sucking stuff I found distracting from the heart of the story, which is this guy,
Yeah.
this titan of a human being, realizing that the thing that's been driving them is false. It's a facade, and that the thing he's been looking for all along is actually in the sun that he's been pushing away, or
Yeah.
like that's a very powerful. And I realize that's not a very kid movie. Like that's the movie that this dad with a son wants, like that. And I have a dad and I have a son, and like that, those dynamics are all there, and I'm pulled toward those things. I want less of the CGI and more of the emotional, for me. And like it makes every punch that a father lands on his son is like the most devastating thing in my mind. It's so sad. And I wanted more of those two, while the fire is burning behind them, of the village or whatever the problem is back there. It's, to me, it's the stories of those two and their opposition to each other, and that just, yeah, it's the same with, like you guys were saying, Black Panther and Killmonger. It's like there's that fight going on the plain, like the flat land, and then you take these two out, and it's their opposing viewpoints, the conflicting ideologies. Like, this is the tragedy of, like, a tragic villain, a villain that carries like this, just this soul crushing thing, this weight to them. Yeah, I was into that side of it. I wanted that dialed up. But
yeah,
I'm not.
Right. The suckers were very distracting.
Yeah, it didn't add anything to me. All it did was take away my coolest looking villain, like a punk.
Okay, I have a question for you. Do you think if when we would have survived, there would have been redemption for his character?
Yeah. Would you feel the same way also if he doesn't die?
If he passes the rings on and he's depowered and he doesn't get what he wants and he has to live with, like, I would have loved it if he actually sacrificed more to get there. So for him to get in, like, imagine he's got to go through that forest, pass through the portal, and to do so, his entire fortune is like gets burned or gets taken from him. So everyone who works for him is like gone. All he is now is just a man, the 10 rings, and his want. So then when he gives up the rings, he now has nothing. And then if that man survives and he's in the dungeon and he doesn't even get to be with his kid, who's now this wholly, fully realized person, doesn't get to be with his daughter, doesn't have his fortune, doesn't have his army, nothing, like, seeing him at the end with zero would have gutted me. I would have loved that. But that's, again, that's me.
Trevor has a good one. I would like to see him help Shang-Chi take down the Soul Sucker in total, sacrificing himself. Then you remove that whole, like, how did Katie learn to get this trick shot? I mean, you would still have Wenwu sacrificing himself, which still in the end gives, I mean, if he sacrificed himself at that moment and killed the Soul Sucker and then it was seen, that was it. You're still like, he still sacrificed himself. And it's kind of the same ending there, isn't it?
Right.
Maybe it would have, I mean, because he didn't really, like, there's nothing there between him and Xiaoling, though, right? Like, like there's
Yeah.
no closure really for her. Like he
Mhm.
didn't do anything for her. She's still a neglected daughter. So like for him to have done something that would have benefited her too, maybe it would have been nice instead of just,
I would
favorite
have
male child.
what I would have really liked was if he survived, and at the end you would have seen him in like the dungeons, and like the daughters talking to him, like be like, well, listen, like this is what you basically did to me, kind of thing, and now this is what I'm doing to you. So for me, that would have been such a big,
Oof.
right? It's chilling.
Then
Yeah.
she's the next villain.
Her dark turn, I just
Yeah.
like that much nastier.
Mhm. And then she walks up those stairs, and then the 10 rings flags are
Yeah,
right there.
Thrown.
I think that would have been a better ending.
maybe.
But
I really like that whole like, oh, she didn't get to train because she was a girl and she she learned everything. I'm gonna do it by myself. I'm gonna do it better than all the boys. Does her own thing, and then she's there. She's still there in Talo, and she's watching like, oh, these people got to and it's all women training for this fight, and she's just
Right.
watching them. Like she didn't get to do any of that. And the best part is when she takes over, she's like, here we're all going to train together. Like there's going to be men and women training together at the end. She's making all those corrections, which I think was awesome for that character.
Did you guys want the mystical realm to be connected to other mystical realms, or do you like them separate? Like, is that someplace that Thor can get to?
From
Can
the
Heimdall I mean, I know he's dead in the movie, but you know what I'm saying.
using the bridge.
Heimdall use the bridge to get to that realm.
maybe it could have been one of the, what is it, the 10 realms, 9 realms?
Fine, but
The 9 realms?
but
But you never
the
know.
word realm is very, very open. Like you can make a case that just like the universe that they live in, like that Earth is on, and the entire universe is one realm, and like another realm is like can be a demon place, and like an entire universe that has different rules, and I don't know, you know what I'm saying.
I mean,
They're not planets.
Thor, like the Thor mythology has in the MCU has really like kind of opened that up for us, kind of like it explored the different realms and everything. So this is not, this is a very big possibility. This could be one of the 9 realms. This could have been something there. I don't know, but aren't all the 9 realms like details and like
Yes.
yeah, so I don't know. It could have been like a subsect of a 9 realms, an annex of something.
Yeah,
I would like to see more though, because they mentioned like they had other cities
yeah.
that were all destroyed, and ultimately this is all that remains.
Maybe it's part of the, what is it? What's that? The quantum realm? Maybe part of something there. Maybe you don't know. We don't know.
I'm into it.
Oh, you can take a tram over to Kunlun from there.
Right, and I forgot my Iron Fist mythology, but there are several different of these like these like astral cities that were with the gates opening when certain times of year or whatever. So Kunlun is another one. It's interesting. I wonder if there's ever going to be any good crossover, or if they just do away with Iron Fist altogether.
Well, that's done. Netflix, Marvel, done.
No, but I just meant like, are they going to find a way to retcon or recreate or start anew with something that has a successful formula for Iron Fist? Because I still do like certain parts of the Iron Fist dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a New York boy. Like I don't need the New York millionaire or billionaire. Like that stuff to me is never what's been interesting with the character, right?
Maybe Shang Chi 2 has Danny Rand and Luke Cage in it.
I'd be happy to see if Iron Fist was just a different character entirely.
Yeah.
Like what I want to see is like powered up martial arts.
Yeah.
And if you just call a character Iron Fist and it's powered up martial arts and they have a power punch, like it doesn't matter to me. You can make it any kind of character, whatever works. Danny Rand doesn't have any. Bruce Wayne.
I'm gonna pivot to something real quick. Yoko, on your stream yesterday, you built the
My Lego?
Lego. Which set was it?
This was the um this is the one that leaked the dragon originally. The Battle at the Ancient Village set.
I think you might have enabled me to get that.
It's really cool. I mean, I actually I love the little polybag guy, you know, nice and desk sized. But hold on, I'm trying to carefully pick this up. This guy is cool though.
It's funny when this first leaked and kind of spoiled the dragon. I sent it to Clem. I'm like, yo, Clem, check this out. He's like, whoa, what the heck? They're not. It's like that's a major plot point.
Yeah.
But look at the effect that they gave Wenwu, like with the rings. How cool is that?
So can I say something that I have never admitted? So I have a friend who who lives in Australia, and one of his friends was a set designer for Shang Chi, and he just did Thor, and he kind of did ruin that there was going to be a dragon in Shang Chi for me, and he did say that there was going to be a huge tournament. So I was like, oh, perfect. I kind of know the movie now. And this
That's
was
awesome.
back. This
Wait,
was
that's
back
not
in
awesome.
like almost it was like 2020 before lockdown happened.
Mhm.
So
Oh, that's unfortunate. I don't
yeah,
want to hear stuff. I wouldn't want to hear stuff like that. But you
yeah.
get hold on, let me show Yoko. Yoko, I'm gonna embiggen your screen.
Like super embiggen.
Embiggen is embiggen. There's no medium. There's no. It's like dead.
Is that Wenwu with the five
Yeah,
rings?
was my light too bright? Let me turn it down.
Okay, here's one cool detail that I really liked. Wenwu, 5 rings on each arm, punching away at the wall. He's like, this isn't gonna work. He puts all 10 on one hand for one super punch. Like, that's so cool. It's like just like compact all of the power into one hand. It was awesome.
My one problem with this is there aren't really places for them to sit, so I like have her dangling sideways from the claw. There's nowhere else to put her.
Hold on, I'll begin again. Go.
So I got him on the head. There's like that's like the only spot really where you can put him. And then there was like do you see her? I have her just hanging from the claw.
I mean, she doesn't really go. Wait, what? No, she was on him. Actually, you're right. They were hanging off of his.
I know I'm right.
His hair.
You know what? Speaking of Shang-Chi, there, you know the scene where Wenwu asks Katie her Chinese name?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to bring it back and somehow like just put a verbal dagger in her. It's like he talked about how the name is not just the word; it's like there's a spiritual power to it. And I thought he was going to say, like, and your name means that you're just a piece of shit. Like I thought he was going to kind of say something about what her name means and how like she's not worthy to be around his son, or like just kind of tie it back, or at least discuss it what the meaning of her name was, because I was interested, and I'm used to
that scene.
People being a little nasty.
Anyway.
That
scene overall was awesome. He went through all of his. He's like, I've gone by many names.
Yeah.
In the past, you know, someone who tried to. What was the word that he used when he referring to Trevor? Just
impersonate. I don't remember.
I don't know the word.
I forget which one specifically, but it was cool. I thought they were just going to mention him, and then that was it. And it was stupid because I did see Ben Kingsley was at the LA premiere, which I'm like, oh, that's weird. Why appropriate? He was appropriated the 10 rings.
Yeah.
So you know, knowing that he was there at the premiere, I'm thankful to DK for giving me this figure a few months ago when the Marvel Legends wave came out. If you swap the Marvel Legends Wenwu head on this, it looks badass.
That's cool.
It's very different costume, but it looks badass.
Do you know what I wanted to see in the movie? Do you remember the dude who was like in charge of the 10 rings in Iron Man 1? The guy who captured Tony and got the sort of shrapneled face, and then I believe he's killed by my action figure when he uses those ear.
Yeah. When he has the
Yeah, he's killed at that part in the movie. I would have liked in one of the flashback where they show like him building the terrorist group that guy is there, as one of
No,
his.
in one of his screens, apparently he's watching Tony's videotape or whatever
That-
with the
that's
Ten
good.
Rings in the background.
That's good. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, he died, but I would wanted to see a flashback of when he had a council of a few people, and at phase 1 or just before phase 1, connect it back to that. They never mentioned the Ten Rings from the first movie, from Iron Man 1. They mentioned it as part of Iron Man 3, but they didn't do a connection to Iron Man 1, which is where we all first kind of came across it. I kind of wanted a little bit of that in there. Would have been cool.
Yeah, I want to hear more about the organization and
Totally.
and things like that too. It was a quick montage, but it was cool to see them toppling governments and sniper shots and things like that
Yeah.
through the ages. That was awesome.
And it's the world is a big place, and there's enough room for Hydra to only be focusing, by the way, from World War II on.
Right.
And they're basically Shield from the 1950s on. They're within Shield. So there's a whole world out there where there'd be tons of room for Ten Rings to be able to do what they do and Hydra to do what they do, and never the two shall meet, or rarely the two would meet. But that would have been super cool. And and then of course the KGB and there's some neat stories left out there to tell. There's so much.
There is.
I really want to see Wenwu's backstory, like fully. That's something I want to see.
Like when he gets the Ten Rings kind of thing.
Yeah, like how he got it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that we're gonna get like in later on. Yeah, something.
We see like one of them, one of the Eternals breaks that rule, and they're not supposed to interfere, but maybe one of them leaves the back door to their ship open, and this kid goes in and gets an artifact out, or whatever,
The rumor was that he found it in a crater or a tomb or something, right?
Yeah, but they say there are
that.
different stories that they've heard, and no one knows really for sure.
Right, but they said that, so I feel like that's going to play into something.
I love when movies do that. When movies say, some people say this, and some people say that.
Yeah,
and I'm not telling you which one's real. I love, like for instance, in The Dark Knight, Joker gives two different origins to where he gets his scars. Like, leave it ambiguous. Leave the audience just like an unreliable narrator, and you let your imagination do the work. It's so much fun. Yeah.
I think your voice is pretty good for narrator. I think you can do like a Watu kind of voiceover.
Well, you're the new Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright and I share a few characteristics as well. Yeah. But thanks for the compliment, Kevin. I find you sexy as well. So
that is not what I said.
I'm pretty sure the audience all heard exactly what you said.
All they hear is your voice. Speaking of hearing things that we've said, we've gone like 2.5. As much as I love this movie and want to see it again and talk more, I do have 2 giveaways to do, which I don't know. Let's do them right now. Before I get to the giveaways, while everyone's still here and hanging around, I want to thank Ryan for stopping by and giving us his thoughts. And he didn't have to sit through what character I want from Marvel Legends. That's why I made sure he gets to go. He went left first, and then I get to talk about what I want from toys. Troy, you are on Instagram at Troy Collects Toys. You and myself and Jason are doing What If on Friday. Yoko, do you want to be a surprise guest?
I don't think I can this week. I hope I can be in the chat a little bit. But I'm really sad that I can't be there to talk about.
Oh, because of your Troy, you're on Instagram.
My favorite thing to come out of the What If episodes.
That phrasing, that choice of words. Troy, where can people catch up with you other than IG?
So you can find me obviously on Instagram at Troy Collects Toys, or you can follow me on YouTube. I did a new review on the Sharon Carter Marvel Legends. Why do I say Sharon? See, watching What If today really put Sharon Carter in the forefront of my head. I did it on Peggy Carter, so you can check that out on my YouTube channel. But yeah, that's about it.
And Jason, yourself?
You can follow me on Instagram at Jason Lapidus, where you can also find, you can hit me up for some comics. I've got a great comic book series called Peregrines, and I'm drawing part 2 of Peregrines as we speak. It's right there on the drawing board. So
As we
there you
speak.
go.
As I was
there.
talking.
Yes, it's right there.
Awesome. I think a lot of people already know Yoko, but let them know.
At Yoko McCann on Instagram and Twitter, Live in La Vida Yoko on Twitch, where I stream Tuesday nights, where I do something in the evening, like a Lego build or an unboxing, something, you know.
I do things.
Versus, I'm remembering to plug at midnight 30, the What If immediate reaction. The immediate reaction chat. Hey, we're like, I've got like Team Midnight 30 going on now. It's a thing.
Midnight 30 raid. Okay, that's
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Yes, I still have the giveaways, but before we go, I'm on Instagram at Toying Around. If you're watching here on YouTube, obviously we know where that is, but feel free, double check, see if you are subscribed, or let people know what's going on. Or if you're on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/Toying Around. Tomorrow night is the regular unboxing Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, where I will be on with the one and only
Nummy.
Robo from the Foosh. So come check that out. Hit the notification bell. You'll be reminded when this goes live tomorrow. It'll be a lot of fun. Friday, we're going to, these two guys up there with me, we'll be talking about What If, and at 9 Eastern. The first giveaway, I don't know where I put it, but I have one. It is a real thing. It is this Lego Shang Chi polybag set. Yoko's holding it in biggin. I almost dropped it as I said it.
I know, but I didn't.
It's a cool little set. I was at Toys R Us the other day, and I saw it, and I thought, you know, we're doing this. It would be a cool little item to throw in. So I'm going to open this up with a quick question. I have, using my software here, it has the chat for StreamYard, in StreamYard for Twitch and YouTube. So whoever the first person is to answer on there will be the winner. Message me on Instagram afterwards at Toying Around. If you win, write your Instagram name here so I know it's the right person. Or if you don't have Instagram, whisper on Twitch or whatever that thing is called. But this is what you will win. A Shang-Chi minifigure. He comes with a staff. He's got 2 expressions, which I love when Lego does that. It's like the other one's hidden behind the hair, so you can turn it around. And it comes with this mini protector that he can stand on. Yoko just showed you. I don't know where I put the protector. Really easy. So I'm going to ask the question, count to 5. The first answer, and then I'm going to type go. And the first answer after my typing of go will be the chosen winner. How do I phrase this question in a trivia format? I'm going to, and then there's my giveaway, and then there's Clem's afterwards. And thank you for Clem also for coming on and for the prize and his stories. The Departed is based on what movie that Tony Leung is in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And make sure it's after the word go in the chat. I also like to say the Departed. And the winner is Jason Lowe, illustrator, comic illustrator, and creator of Pitiful Human Lizard. Jason, I already have your information. That sounds weird, but he did buy something from me before. I'm not a stalker. Congratulations to Jason.
You could be both.
Could be. All right, second one. And if you haven't seen Infernal Affairs, my goodness, please go watch it. It's so good. If you like The Departed, I mean, there's a reason that they saw this movie from Hong Kong and they were like, I want to make this into a Hollywood film with, was it, who was the director? Scorsese. I just wanted to make, I didn't want to say the wrong one and sound stupid. I wanted to.
What do you mean, you people?
Huh?
Go on.
You know, you have DiCaprio, you have Matt Damon.
Mm-hmm.
I mix up Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Is that weird?
No.
No.
It's a padded. So there's a reason like they put all those names. It's a really cool movie. Where can you watch that movie? I don't know. Head
Netflix.
down to the Infernal Affairs.
No, The Departed.
Yeah, I don't. Nobody wants to see that. Go
I
watch
do.
Infernal
I watch it
Affairs,
every
'cause
day.
I'm talking about the movie. Tony Leung. There's a two.
Girl, look.
I don't remember if there's Infernal Affairs 3,
Yes, there is.
but go check it out. It's fantastic. There's Andy Lau. I don't know how familiar everyone is with Hong Kong celebrities, but go check that out. Where can you watch it? Go down to your local. I don't know. Go down to Pacific Mall, and if you're in Toronto, and grab a copy from there. Second trivia. Well, this is for the very generous gift from Clem, the tote bag with all of the merch and a flag that I want. Renting it from I don't think Blockbuster even had it. The imports, the foreign section. What was that question? Oh, okay. All right. So this will be in the same style of question and answering. Where did I put? Here we go. Okay, ready? Here we go. So I'm going to ask the question. Count to 5, type go. Your answer has to be after go. And who is the writer and artist that created the comic book character Shang Chi? Needs to be both. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go. You two are ready. Jason mentioned it earlier, and therefore he is exempt from winning.
I've Googled it like 3 times and I still can't tell you who it is.
It's
I mean, it's such a good prize. You can't just... Fred. There you go. Fred, you got it. On my screen.
Ooh.
Visual proof. I'm going to take some pictures. There you go. Steve Englehart and artist Jim Starlin. I don't know anything about those comic creators, from what I understand. Like,
you know Jim Starlin from Thanos.
Well,
Jim Starlin was at the show I was just at, so I should have known that one.
But what I mean is like creating the name Shang-Chi. I mean, when the movie came out, it's like, what are the actual Chinese characters that are used for that name? And if people aren't familiar with the language, it's like each word it's a meaning. It's not like an alphabet in English. So, you can say Shang-Chi, but what characters, what words were they actually using to as his name? So that was, I think people were trying to figure that out as the movie was starting to get more traction and notoriety. Jason, did you have something to add to that?
No, just that they very actively wanted to get a Bruce Lee comic book going.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in the cards for Marvel. They weren't able to do it, so they just created their own. Essentially, is what they were going for.
There you go.
The meaning behind the name, I haven't read into whether they just asked someone who they thought would be able to give them a good name, or they just took sounds that they thought were usable and appropriate. Rhymes with Bruce Lee, so like, who knows? Who knows? I should look into that one. I'm interested to find out too.
I'm interested to see all the rappers that always rhyme things with Bruce Lee, kicking it like Bruce Lee or something like that. Are they going to change it to Shang-Chi now going forward? Is it going to be, are rap lyrics going to be more updated that way?
I think there will be a sign, like if Marvel is able to, okay, if Shang-Chi continues to be like a staple character in the MCU, he will be too big to be an underground cool thing like Bruce Lee. Because you had to be in the know. Like Bruce Lee was really famous, of course, but he was like it was still like the 70s things just have a different aesthetic. There's something like cool and retro and a little bit in the know to know who Bruce Lee was. The way that I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. If Shang Chi becomes so popular, it's going to be like everyone knows Shang Chi. It's not that cool a lyric, Maybe. But
Troy, I think you had something, or you were
me?
fixing your lighting.
Oh, I was just fixing my hair.
Lovely.
Awesome.
I think that's it for this movie. That was a lot of fun. I've been waiting for. I mean, we've done this for other shows and movies, but this one was a little bit more exciting.
Do we want to do a final rating? What do we rate the movie?
Sure. I'm trying to think. I'm hesitating because I'm trying
What's
to think
the
of the number.
scale? Like 1 to 10?
1 to 10.
How many rings would you give it? Come on.
How many rings? Oh my god, how many 10 rings?
Oh my god.
Okay.
No, just how many rings out of 10, not how many 10 rings. Like 71 rings out of 100.
Okay. So I give 7 rings.
I'm gonna go with 8 rings. Lucky 8.
Is this me now?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't like grading things. I used to be a teacher. I don't like grading.
Fair enough.
Do we have half rings? Like, is there?
Sure, you could do a half a ring.
That sounds so lame. I'm going to give it 8 rings because of more than just what the movie is on its own, but the context in which it's been given to us. I'm really grateful this movie is here. I'm really happy that it's here.
8 whole rings?
8. I don't do half rings, so I'm giving it 8 rings.
Yeah, a half a ring isn't a ring, right?
That's right. It's a broken ring.
I'll give it like a 8.5 rings, just because.
Just to be different.
Yeah, just to be a jerk.
Just round up to 9. Give it a 9.
8.8 because Wenwu 888 helicopter.
Nice.
Well, I'm kind of tired of myself talking, but you guys are awesome. Yoko, Troy, Jason, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being here for so long and sharing your input, because I like the movie. I want to hear what everyone else thinks about it too. We all perceive different things from it. Thank you everyone who is still watching right now. If you're watching later, appreciate you. Thank you to Ryan and Clem and everyone who made this stream. It was a lot of fun for me. Thank you everyone for watching. If you can, check out these awesome friends of mine on their social media. I bring them on for a reason, because they're so cool.
Some
Jason
of us invite ourselves.
Yes, but we don't highlight that. Cool. Well, tomorrow night I'll be back, and Friday. Everyone have a good evening. Is that it? And keep touring around. Peace.
We
peace.
should have said we could go to sleep, or
Is this where I end it?
oh, are we still on? I think
Yeah,
I figured
I
it
think
out.
so.
Oh, that was it? Okay, set it up again.
We could go get some rest, or
Oh, I get it, because of the end of the movie.